Now from Miami, Florida, it's ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball. Tonight, the first place Los Angeles Dodgers take on the Florida Marlins. Robbie Stadium in Miami. It's ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Coors Light. Tonight, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Florida Marlins. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough. It's nice to have you with us for the rubber game of this three-game series. You won't hear the Los Angeles Dodgers complaining about realignment. A year ago, through 58 games, they were 30-28. But already 7 games out of first in the National League West this year without Atlanta in the same division and with San Francisco nowhere near as hot as they were a year ago. The Dodgers have the same record, 30-28, but they're in first place by 2 games over the Giants. I'm joined by Buck Martinez. Let's talk for a moment about these red-hot Florida Marlins. They had the longest winning streak in their franchise history snapped last night, a 5-game winning streak, but they deserve a lot of credit to be above 500. Despite the fact that their best pitcher and best hitter have been injured for much of the year.
Yeah, they haven't had Brian Harvey healthy, and they haven't had Gary Sheffield, but they expect to get both those players back this weekend. You know, the Marlins have emphasized pitching, and it's been the starting pitching lately that has allowed them to have that hot streak where they won 5 in a row. Marcel Latchman is the guy that's put this team together, but he's moved on now, and Rene Latchman, the manager, has got this team playing well, averaging .320 during that hot streak, scoring 5.5 runs a game, and the ERA of 3.44 has been very impressive. So overall, things are pretty upbeat, particularly if they get those 2 key players back this weekend.
Well, Orel Hershiser, for one, says the Dodgers really aren't much better than they were a year ago. It's just that the divisions are realigned. But if you look at the Dodgers statistically, certainly they're a much better offensive team to this point in the season than they were a year ago.
Boy, they sure are. They've got a great offensive ball club, and Reggie Smith gets a lot of credit for that. But the Dodgers consistently have had good starting pitching, and they've got pretty good starting pitching this year. But the big problem for the Dodgers has been their bullpen. It was expected to be a lot better than this. But Todd Worrell has been out with an injury, and look at what the bullpen has done. 11-14, an ERA that is 11th in the National League, and they've saved just 9 games. They expected to be a lot better, particularly with young Darren Dreifert in the bullpen. Jim Gott saved 25 last year, but right now they're a little bit beat up down in the bullpen, but Tommy Lasorda is hopeful they'll get it turned around.
And Tommy will have Pedro Estacio on the mound tonight. For the Florida Marlins, it'll be Pat Rapp. We'll have the first pitch from Miami right after this. Welcome back to Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. Tonight, the rubber game of a 3-game series between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Florida Marlins. For a crowd expected to be close to 30,000 tonight. Tommy Lasorda has his Dodgers at 30-28 and in first place in the National League West. And tonight, he's giving Brett Butler a night off. Here is the lineup for Los Angeles. Jose Offerman will lead off and play shortstop with Butler getting a night of rest. Chris Gwynn in the starting lineup in left field. Mike Piazza, MVP candidate in 1994, catching and batting third. The cleanup hitter, third baseman Tim Wallach. Henry Rodriguez is in right field batting fifth. The first baseman Eric Karros, hot lately, batting sixth. Raul Mondesi is in center field batting seventh. Gary Ingram at second base hits eighth. And the pitcher, Pedro Estacio, will bat ninth. The Dodgers offense revitalized, averaging more than a run per game than they did a year ago. We spoke with Reggie Smith, the batting coach, about his philosophy.
What is this guy trying to do to me? What does his ball do? What pitch does he like to throw when he's in trouble or in situations like that? That's what I'm trying to get into their heads, to have more of a plan. Seems like everything now is centered around mechanics, the approach to hitting from a mechanical standpoint versus being able to play in that ballpark with the 5-inch fences.
The 5-inch fences between your ears, that's what he's talking about. The mental aspect of the game, and Reggie Smith and this ball club Dodgers are second in the league behind Cincinnati, batting .285 as a team, and that has been a dramatic improvement, the offensive output of this Dodger team in 1994.
Pat Rapp on the mound tonight for the Florida Marlins. He's 26 years old and part of a young Florida rotation that is starting to turn some heads, and Rapp pitched particularly well lately.
Yes, he has, and the starters have been good down here in Florida Marlin country consistently all year long. Pat Rapp is a pretty hard thrower. You know, the Giants organization, he has a slider. They ask him to throw the curveball again. He's a fastball, curveball, changeup pitcher, and he will get up to 90 miles an hour. He's 4-1 on the season. Defensively, for the Florida Marlins, there you see Conine Carr and Carrillo in the outfield. Chuck Carr, very good, speedy outfielder. Benito Santiago has returned to his Gold Glove form. He and Rene Lachemann have gotten together all the way back into spring training, trying to improve on his mechanics with his throwing. You'll remember that in his career, he has thrown an awful lot from his knees, but at this point of his career, the manager has asked him to be more conventional with that throwing and try to get some more consistency.
And Marlins defense last in the National League in team fielding. Jose Hoffman leads off. First pitch of the night, a strike from Pat Rapp as Hoffman ran up as if to bunt and missed it. Jose batting .198 with a homer and 23 runs batted in. It is a scorcher here in Miami, 90 degrees the game time temperature, and quite humid. There is a 40% chance of rain. We heard rumbles of thunder off and on during batting practice. Not much of a breeze to talk about. It's blowing out of the southwest at 13 miles per hour. Flags blowing out toward right.
Don't stand there.
And it is a good idea to bring a fan to the ballpark here tonight. Brett Barbary throws out Offerman for the first out of the ball game. When we talk about realignment, Florida Marlins at 29 and 28 with one fewer win than the Los Angeles Dodgers. But because they're now in the division that houses Atlanta, they're 8.5 games out of first place and not thinking about the postseason. Rene Lachemann says realistically their goal is to improve over their performance of a year ago, year one as a major league team. Chris Gwynn out in the comebacker, and quickly they're 2 down to the Los Angeles first.
Anytime you're on a roll as a pitcher, you've got a lot of confidence. Well, throw it over, put it in play, trust your defense. And that's what Pat Rapp has done here facing these first 2 batters. When you pitch ahead, you have many more options.
Now Mike Piazza, second in the National League in hitting at .349, trailing only Tony Gwynn's .378. He's the National League leader in runs batted in with 54. And he looked at ball one. And you'd have to say, given his impressive start and that of the Dodgers as well, that he is a leading candidate for MVP honors in the National League this season.
Piazza's one of those young players that's really hard on himself in that he wants to improve and become the complete hitter. He doesn't get too thrilled about home runs or RBIs. He wants to hit for a high average, score a lot of runs, be on base a lot. He'd like to improve his walk total. I said earlier in the season that he was just up there hacking, just swinging, not with a real good game plan. And that's what Reggie Smith has brought to the young hitters like Piazza and Karros. A plan.
And Rene Lachemann says it really has already paid off for Piazza, because he noted that the Marlins manager that Piazza really does a great job when he's at the plate of covering the entire strike zone. There's really no weakness that you can exploit as you're pitching to him, and he has developed his offensive game to where he can go to all fields, and he showed the patience Buck was speaking of by drawing a 2-out walk. Rene said the home run that Piazza hit here on Monday night, a grand slam, estimated at 477 feet, longest in Joe Robbie history. Rene said as far as they know, it has not yet come down. They had a sighting of it over the Keys this afternoon, and they think it's still going.
Straightaway center.
Tommy Lasorda said it was also the longest home run he had ever seen in this ballpark or otherwise. Breaking ball missed to Tim Wallach. Another reason why Piazza has succeeded is that Wallach has hit well behind him under the tutelage of Reggie Smith. He's having a bounce back year at 275. In the top 10 in the National League in homers is Wallach with 13. Matter of fact, he's tied for 7th in the senior circuit round trippers. And he's up there with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, Sean, you can remember looking at Wallach a few years ago when he was with the Expos, how he held his hands up high over his shoulder, and he was a real straight uppercutter. Now he's dropped the hands. He has the ability to get on top of the ball a little bit more often. Not so pull conscious. There for a while, he says that all he was thinking about was pulling. He felt that was the only way he could hit the ball hard and hit it out of the ballpark. But now, Reggie Smith has him confident that he can drive the ball to all fields. In fact, he had a 2-run home run game at Shea Stadium earlier in the year when he had 2 balls out to right center.
And he hits that high in the air, but not very deep in left center. Conine and Carr, and it'll be Chuck Carr, the center fielder, to end the inning. After a half inning, Los Angeles nothing, and Florida coming up. Hammy, the Florida Marlins coming to bat for the first time tonight from manager Rene Latchman. Here's Rene's lineup tonight. Chuck Carr will lead off and play center field. Jerry Brown, riding a 7-game hitting streak, is the third baseman. Matias Carrillo in right field bats third. Jeff Conine, the left fielder, is the cleanup hitter. Greg Colburn at first base bats fifth. Benito Santiago is the catcher batting sixth. Kurt Abbott at short hits seventh. Second baseman Brett Barbary is swinging eighth. And the pitcher Pat Rapp will bat ninth against his opposite number Pedro Estacio.
Right-hander Pedro Estacio makes his 12th start of the season. His last 2 starts, he combined for 6 innings of work, 13 hits and 13 runs. He's been roughed up. Pitching coach Ron Paranowski has made some adjustments with his delivery. They're trying to get him out over that front leg and get him back into a real good zone, low in the strike zone. Defensively for Tommy Lasorda, Dodgers stack up number 21 with Quinn, Mondesi, and Rodriguez in the outfield. Brett Butler gets the night off. With tomorrow, he'll have 2 nights off, an opportunity to get recharged a bit. But Raul Mondesi, keep your eye on him. He's outstanding. A great arm, good speed, and he's a young player that everybody believes will be a star.
Leads the majors with 12 outfield assists. The first pitch of the inning, hammered foul by Chuck Carr. Carr is hitting .317. That has him just out of the top 10 in the National League in hitting. He has 17 runs batted in. And at this point of the season, is a much improved hitter for average over his final numbers of a year ago. And he's trying to be smarter, less wild, as he says. A tendency to be aggressive at the plate, on the bases, and in the field. Carr hit .267 last year, so he's made a considerable improvement to this point. His average will go up with a base hit through the right side of the infield. And they'll have to keep an eye on Carr. He's among the league leaders with 17 stolen bases, 4th in the National League.
Well, he's only been caught twice, too, and that's a big improvement last year. Rene Latchman has asked Chuck Carr to be a little more attentive at first base. Piazza is throwing fairly well this year. Good strong arm. He's going to have to get some help from his pitcher, Pedro Estacio. Estacio has had base stealers steal 5 out of 6 this year.
Now Jerry Brown. Carr's not running on the first pitch, and Brown took the fastball for ball 1. As we mentioned, he's riding a 7-game hitting streak. He's hit in 10 of his last 11. Dave Magadan, one of 3 players for Florida bothered these days by a toe injury, and he has been seeing sporadic action of late. Brown has been in there more often than not. Talk about how much credit the Marlins deserve. You look at their infield last night. They had Russ Morman at first, Mario Diaz at second, Kurt Abbott at short, Jerry Brown at third. Not to take anything away from those players, but that is probably the kind of infield that Florida expected to have this year at Edmonton, their AAA team. Brown took a ball, and he's ahead 2-0.
anytime you lose players like Sheffield and Brian Harvey, of course, the closer that saved 45 ball games, it's going to have a domino effect on the rest of the team. Pushes everybody into roles they're not comfortable with, or should they be?
Carr is still not on the run, and a strike called by the home plate umpire Mark Barron. He's working with Frank Pulley at first, Greg Monet at second, and Joe West calls the plays at third. Here's Gary Sheffield. He's about to head out on a rehab assignment, bothered by a bruised left rotator cuff. He's going to head the Double-A team in Portland, Maine. New minor league franchise, the Sea Dogs, drawing well up in Maine. And they hope that he could be back, join the Marlins by Sunday in Pittsburgh. The 2-1. Brown bunts. Estacio has to hurry, and he got Brown by a running step.
Well, the governor, Jerry Brown, gets down a perfect bunt. Kills it in the grass right in front of home plate. For Brown, that's his second sacrifice. Estacio gets on it. Piazza hollers first base, and just by a half a step, they retired Jerry Brown. And on the play, Chuck Carr moves down to second base.
Interesting strategy, isn't it? If in fact that was a sacrifice attempt and not an attempt for a base hit. It did look like Brown was trying to beat it, but you have Carr, 17 out of 19 in stolen bases. Why use up and out to sacrifice him along in the first inning?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because Jerry Brown is such a good number 2 hitter, taking pitches. Gives Carr the opportunity to run, but they elected to sacrifice.
Now Matias Carrillo, the right fielder, hit it on the ground to second. And Gary Ingram throws to Eric Karros for the out. That gets Carr to third with 2 down. We're in the first. There is no score. And the hand you hear is for Jeff Conine, striding to the plate. In the words of General Manager Dave Dombrowski, he's had a great year for the Marlins. And the fans here appreciate that great year. He's at .319. He has a team leading 45 runs batted in and has hit 10 homers, second on the club to Sheffield's 12. Only had 12 home runs all of last year. He has certainly improved with the long ball in 1994. Conine had a 5-game hitting streak snapped last night by Ramon Martinez, who was outstanding. Dominated the Marlins. Ramon last night pitched a 3-hit shutout. Didn't walk a batter. Struck out 7. On the Marlins radar gun last night, we had him topping out with his fastball at 98 miles per hour, and he was still at 96 in the 9th inning.
Well, they've been waiting for Ramon to come around like that. And he said, hey, the way I threw last night, I could reel off 4 or 5 shutouts. But it's been a while, and there's some that speculate for the first time Ramon's arm strength is back and his elbow feels fine and he's healthy again.
2-2 on Jeff Conine.
That was a real good changeup. Estacio will throw that changeup and turn it over, and it'll run down and in on the right-handed hitters. Had real good movement on that. Take a look at the target by Piazza, and you can see how that ball was sinking down and in as he turns that changeup over.
Up the middle, it hit the mound, but Hoffman still couldn't get it. And the Marlins lead 1-0 as Carr scores from third. Jeff Conine, another RBI, his 46th of the season. He's 5th in the National League in that category.
Conine delivers with a 2-out base hit. Base hit to center. Estacio breaking ball up. He wanted that pitch down. It stayed up about mid-thigh high, and Conine rips it into center field.
And Jeff is at first with 2 outs for Greg Colburn. Big swing. Colburn Bothered by injuries in recent years, most notably a right elbow problem that's required surgery on a couple of occasions. And he's also been bothered by torn cartilage in his left knee this season. A blood blister underneath his big toe. That's well hit to right and caught by Rodriguez to end the inning. So the Marlins are first on the board. They lead 1-0 after one. And we'll get a look at Rookie of the Year candidate Raul Mondesi in the second on ESPN.
Welcome back to our Wednesday night doubleheader. Gary Miller here in the studio, keeping you posted on other action. That includes the Yankees and the Rangers, and Bernie Williams facing Bruce Hurst. Opening inning, leadoff batter, gone. Third home run in as many days. Hit a granny in the series on Monday. That one was fair. Also homered on Tuesday. He doubled in the run in the third, in the second. This is the third. Mike Stanley off Hurst. That has not been a good outing for Bruce. That's Stanley 6-4-0 as we go back to our coverage.
Thank you, Gary. Here it's 1-0 Florida as the Dodgers bat in the second. Henry Rodriguez leading off against Pat Rapp, who airmailed Santiago and sent one back to the screen. Rodriguez, part of a platoon in left field ordinarily with Corey Snyder. But with Butler sitting out tonight and Gwynn in the lineup in left, Rodriguez has moved over to play right field. He's hitting .301. Another of the Dodgers enjoying a fine offensive season. Rapp in at the knees with a strike. 2-1 on Henry Rodriguez. Been slumping lately. Just 1 for his last 12 and 2 for his last 31. On the ground, Brett Barbary at second. 1 out.
Batting sixth, the first baseman, number 23, Eric.
And that brings up Eric Karros.
First base.
He is riding the longest hitting streak of his career. He comes into this one having hit in 11 straight games. He's hit .500 during the streak. Fouled away the first pitch from Rapp. Karros is now flirting with .300 for the season at .296.
A little more balance in the lineup this year with the Dodgers. Harris is very productive. Now with Wallach's resurgence, Henry Rodriguez over .300, and of course the stability of Mike Piazza. And then you plug in the most impressive rookie, Raul Mondesi. Balanced attack.
Line for a hit. And Karros extends the longest hitting streak of his career to 12.
Batting seventh, the center fielder, number 43, Raul Mondesi.
And here is the impressive rookie, Raul Mondesi. He's hit in 12 straight games and is at .335 for the season. That's the 6th highest batting average in the National League. I mentioned he leads baseball with 12 outfield assists, and he has Reggie Smith and Tommy Lasorda comparing him to the late great Roberto Clemente, his ability to excel in every facet of the game.
They're just beginning to learn about Mondesi, watching him play every day, but in the outfield he has great instincts. Sometimes he doesn't have real good judgment. He's a rookie who doesn't have a lot of experience and will make some judgmental mistakes, but his talent is outstanding.
This is his second long hitting streak of the season. He had a 14-gamer back in May, which is the 4th longest hitting streak in the National League this year. He's in the hole here 0-2 as he faces Pat Rapp with 1 out. Karros at first, and Florida leading 1-0 in the top of the second. He hit him. Certainly didn't mean to with an 0-2 pitch. But Mondesi is plunked, and he'll take his place at first base. It'll push Karros down to second.
Mondesi just swiped his elbow as if to say, what was that? 90-mile-an-hour fastball trying to straighten him up, push him off the plate. Have Rapp's fastball's inside. Looked like I hit him on the left forearm. Won't get first base. Won't be real pleased about it, I'm sure.
So the Dodgers have a threat with Karros at second, Mondesi at first, and one out. The number 8 hitter Gary Ingram is at the plate. He was called up from Double-A when Delino DeShields suffered a finger injury. They'll hope that he'll be back at the start of next week, talking about DeShields. But Ingram is coming up on May 14th. Has done a good job. He's at .311, going 14 for 45 with a couple of homers, and he has driven in 5 runs. Starting his 12th straight game at second base. And he popped it foul and out of play to the right.
And a couple of hits, including a home run here on Monday night in that wild 10-11 game that Florida won with 1 out in the 9th inning. Marlins were down by 6 runs and came back with 8 runs in the last 3 innings to beat the Dodgers. It was the second home run that Ingram has hit.
This has really been a very interesting series. Ingram strikes out for the second out of the inning. First strikeout of the night for Pat Rapp.
Well, Pat Rapp is throwing his curveball again. There for a while, he got away from it. Relied a lot on his slider and fastball, but now that curveball gives him a little more tilt than the breaking ball. He picks up an important strikeout as a number 8 hitter, bringing to the plate the pitcher with 2 outs.
And Pedro Estacio is not a very good hitter. In fact, he's going to try to bunt his way on with 2 outs. He only has 1 hit in 20 at-bats this year. That's a .050 batting average. Matter of fact, yesterday, Reggie Smith had him swinging left-handed in the batting cage, and they were encouraged by some of the cuts that he was taking.
But not that encouraged.
No.
He's still hitting right-handed.
But you know you're really going bad when they suggest maybe you ought to get the other batter's box. Slashing foul ball off the leg of Santiago. And it's quickly 0-2 on the Dodger pitcher. 1-0 Florida in the second. Karros leads from second. And Mondesi from first. Can't be too optimistic with Pedro up there. And the breaking ball just missed.
It's such a bonus to have a pitcher that can swing the bat, do things with it like Orel Hershiser on this Dodger team. Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, all good hitters.
The contact fought it off.
Getting close.
That was about a 45-degree angle. Ramon Martinez on this Dodger staff is a pretty good hitter. He has 8 hits this year, 34 at-bats, a .235 average.
Kevin Gross has hit a home run, a 3-run homer against Chicago.
Broken bat down to first. Colburn has to hurry and wins the race to the base. The Dodgers strand 2 after an inning and a half in Miami. 1-0 Marlins. Welcome back to Miami. Following this game, our look at great young outfielders continues here on ESPN. We'll check out the sweet swing of Ken Griffey Jr. Already with 24 homers, Griffey Jr. and the Mariners playing host to a couple of great outfielders on the other side for Cleveland tonight, including Kenny Lofton and Albert Bell. It's the Indians and the Mariners at 10:30 Eastern time tonight, the second half of our ESPN Wednesday doubleheader. Here it's 1-0 Florida as the Marlins come up in the second against Pedro Estacio. Benito Santiago looked at ball 1 high. He's batting .288 with 3 homers, 20 runs batted in. Estacio now the inside part of the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Santiago, then Kurt Abbott and Brett Barbary for Florida in the second. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Santiago. He got off to a very slow start with the bat, but has picked it up lately, hitting .338 over his last 23 games. Just missed the outside corner. 2-2.
You know, Sean, Rene Latchman had a chat with Benito way back in spring training, talking about his overall game, how he'd like to have him concentrate a little more consistently. There's no question about Santiago's ability. Very good hitter in the past. He's been an outstanding catcher. Gold Glove winner 4 times, but it seems as though from time to time he loses his concentration and his direction. And I think he really understood exactly what Latchman had on his mind. Latchman, a former catcher himself, just recognizes that Santiago should be the premier catcher in National League with all of his defensive skills. And just trying to get him to understand that he needs to push himself a little bit.
Still 2-2. Rossio shaking his pitching arm before delivering, and it's a high fly into shallow left. Santiago had a healthy cut, but it's a little pop-up handled by Chris Gwynn for the first out.
Let's take a look at Pedro Estacio and his delivery. Pitching coach Ron Paranowski has been trying to get him to land on a soft front foot so he can get out over the top of it just like that. Good balance there. You see he's not really running away toward the first baseline, and that was a pretty good delivery, something that Paranowski's going to keep an eye on.
Herb Abbott hit a bullet right at the shortstop Offerman for the second out of the inning. Offerman apparently working himself back into the good graces of his manager Tommy Lasorda a week ago tonight. They had a heated discussion in the dugout at Dodger Stadium after Lasorda ordered Offerman to bunt with a couple of men on and nobody out, and the pitcher coming up next. And Tommy wound up benching Offerman for 3 games over the weekend. He returned to the starting lineup last night here in Miami.
Well, Jose has been in a batting slump, but I'm sure everything is magnified for him. I begin to think that some of the moves by the manager are personal things. It got to him that particular night, but he's going to be their regular shortstop. He sort of knows that if this team's going to win, they're going to have him at shortstop. He's playing very well defensively.
He's cut down on his errors, only 7 at this point. Brett Barbary ahead in the count, 3-0. 2 outs, bases empty. Bottom of the second. Florida has a 1-0 lead. And Barbary has a count of 3-1. Former Montreal Expo signed by a scout named Kevin Malone from Montreal, who is now the Expos general manager. Mondesi the catch as he drifted toward left center. The Marlins go in order in the second. Jose Offerman will lead off when the Dodgers come up in the third. Florida leads 1-0. Jose Offerman will lead off here in the third. During the last half inning, we spoke of his run-in with Tommy Lasorda. This was as he returned to the dugout 1 week ago. Smashed the bat, slammed down the helmet, went storming toward the other end of the dugout, eventually disappeared down the runway, and very shortly thereafter the manager went down there after him, and they exchanged some words that weren't very pleasant, and Offerman found himself on the bench for 3 days. Back in the lineup and leading off against Pat Rapp, whose first pitch of the third is a strike.
Well, Sean, what happens in those situations is players feel embarrassed that they're asked to bunt with a pitcher batting behind him, and although he's struggling right now, he feels that he shouldn't have to put that bunt down. Lasorda was thinking of the team in that particular situation. That's what the play called for, but I'm sure they've got it worked out. It's all behind them now. This is his first start since the 3rd of June in Atlanta.
And he strikes out. And we send it back to Gary Miller. Gary?
Sean, the Silver Bullet takes us to Kauffman Stadium. Brady Anderson leading off against ex-teammate Bob Malachy, and he shellacks him. A ringer into the right field corner. Brady turns the speed on, triples. He would score on a Mark McLemore ground out. Malachy didn't yield after that. 1-0 as Sid Fernandez comes out to the mound for the bottom of the first. Back to you.
Thank you, Gary. First pitch to Chris Gwynn. Is the ball low. 1-0 Florida. They scored in the first on a single by Jeff Conine that brought in Chuck Carr. Pop up off third. Jerry Brown has gone as far as he can go. And it's just out of his reach. And that of Kurt Abbott as well. And it's 1-1 on Chris Gwynn, brother of the league's leading hitter, Tony Gwynn. How about what Tony's doing? Even with less than impressive Padre team around him, hitting .378 to lead the league heading into today's action.
That's incredible. Keep his concentration level up to that degree.
Up the middle, Chris Gwynn. Very good imitation of his brother. And the Dodgers have the tying run at first with 1 out. That'll bring up Mike Piazza. We spoke earlier of the grand slam he hit here on Monday night in the 11-10 Florida win. Estimated at 477 feet. And look where it came down. Way above that 434 mark, the deepest part of the ballpark, off Mark Gardner. Tommy Lasorda said the longest home run he'd ever seen. It is the longest in Joe Robbie Stadium history. Here's the breaking ball way out of the strike zone. 1 strike on Piazza, who walked in the first.
Well, there was a breaking ball that Piazza just waved at. Looked like he was guessing with Pat Rapp, thinking he was going to get a fastball after a bad pitch away from him. That's the aspect that Mike wants to improve upon. Won't give away those wild swings and subsequently give away the at-bats.
Rapp came after him with a fastball, and now Rapp's ahead of the hitter 0-2. Rapp was in the starting rotation at the beginning of the year, struggled, actually was demoted to the bullpen, made 1 appearance out of the bullpen. And the starting rotation was beset by injuries. Out of necessity, he was moved back into the rotation. He might have been on the verge of going down to the minors. And since re-entering the rotation, he's been terrific, coming off the best start of his season in his last outing against San Diego when he took a shutout into the 9th. The Padres knocked him out after 8 1/3. And Florida won the game 5-1. Won his last 2 decisions as Pat Rapp. Over the last 4 games, the opponent's pitch is .213 against him. It's that curveball that Buck was speaking of earlier that made the difference.
Well, it really complements a pretty good fastball. Throws fastball, curveball, straight changeup. 2 starts ago, the Giants touched him up for 5 hits in 5 innings.
Much of the work done with Rapp on his curveball was by former Marlins pitching coach Marcel Latchman. Started the season running the pitching staff for his brother Rene. Of course, Marcel Latchman, hired a couple of weeks back by the California Angels to be his manager. Emotional couple of days for the Latchman as they parted company. Piazza with a ringing single into center, but almost got a piece of Rapp. Win to second, and here come the Dodgers again, first and second, and 1 out.
Well, so many hitters these days in the major leagues are good breaking ball hitters, and this is a breaking ball, and it's a pretty good one. But with 2 strikes, Piazza shortened up, just tried to make contact, and we hit a bullet right by Pat Rapp's glove into center field.
That brings pitching coach Frank Rehberger to the mound. It was Rehberger who took over when Marcel Latchman left to go to the California Angels. Pat Rapp had an interesting comment talking about working with Marcel Latchman about the curveball. He said, "I was working with Marcel on my curveball until he got called up." That was the phrase he used to describe Marcel going from Marlin pitching coach to Angels manager. In a way, it is being called up.
Yeah, called up
from the minors to the majors.
Called up to be the manager. I think that meeting on the mound between Pat Rapp and Frank Rehberger was pretty one-sided. Rehberger didn't look real pleased about the pitch selection that Rapp used to go after Piazza. He went out there and said, "Now let's think a little bit more and try to put him away." You had him in the hole 0-2.
There, Tim Wallach with a pop-up out of play. 1-1 on Wallach, flying to center. Well, Rehberger might be a little cranky as well. He had somewhat of a milestone that a lot of people don't look forward to yesterday when he celebrated his 50th birthday. From Caldwell, Idaho, one of the original San Diego Padres, Frank Rehberger. Also pitched for San Francisco and the Cubs. Was the bullpen coach, made the pitching coach when Marcel Latchman left. In the dirt, Wallach wouldn't chase it.
There's an aspect of Santiago that has always been very good, his ability to keep the ball in front of him. That ball in the dirt, when he calls for a breaking pitch, pitchers have a lot of confidence they can throw it as hard as they want to, because if they bounce it, Benito will keep it right there at home plate.
1-0 Florida in the third. The Dodgers threaten first and second and one out. A called strike on Tim Wallach, evening the count at 2-2.
Now let's watch where Pat Rapp goes here on this pitch. He got 2 strikes on Piazza, and then he went breaking ball. Here he gets the fastball inside to even the count at 2-2. Now let's see if Frank Rehberger has a little different plan on how he uses the fastball. Coming inside.
Last fastball 91. This one well hit to center toward the 434 mark. Carr watches it go. Home run. Well, they didn't like that pitch selection either. 92-mile-an-hour fastball redirected by Wallach for a 3-run homer. His 14th of the season. Runs batted in 43, 44, and 45, and the Dodgers lead 3-1.
Well, he mentioned that Tim Wallach no longer feels that he has to pull the ball to hit it out of the ballpark, and this is a 2-strike swing at a fastball. Up and out over the plate, and he knows he got it all, even to center field. Chuck Carr just runs into the deepest part of the ballpark and stares at the wall as Wallach delivers the 3-run homer.
And a solid hit into right field for Henry Rodriguez, who had been 1 for his last 13, including an 0 for 1 tonight before that line drive. So that's 4 straight hits off Pat Rapp, highlighted by the 3-run clout by Wallach. His 14th of the season. He's now tied for 5th in the National League in home runs with Phil Plantier of San Diego and Colorado's Dante Bichette.
Awful lot of offensive weapons on this team this year. They put the veteran Brett Butler at the leadoff spot. Remember, he's out of the lineup tonight. A couple of days off tonight. Tomorrow's a scheduled off day.
Dodgers had scored 302 runs coming in, tied with Cincinnati for the National League lead. They're the only teams over 300 in the National League. Reds averaging slightly more per game. They played 1 less game. That's down the third baseline. Foul ball, says Joe West. West involved in a controversy last night. The early innings for old Mondesi was introduced. They come to the plate. He took his time lingering the on-deck circle. Joe West got tired of waiting for him, told the pitcher to pitch. David Weathers threw one over the plate. West called it a strike with Mondesi still in the on-deck circle. That's where he is right now, talking to Tommy Lasorda, who might be saying, get up there a little more quickly tonight. Tommy came out and argued with Joe West, but after the game, Tommy agreed it was a good call with Mondesi at plenty of time.
And Mondesi's response to the whole thing was, hey, I only need 1.
When he actually got up there, it was 0-1.
Look at Lasorda really giving it to Mondesi about thinking, go up there and don't waste this at bat. He was talking to him all the time. Lasorda told him earlier, listen to me and I'll make you a lot of money.
Fouled off the mid of Santiago. 0-2. The count on Eric Karros, who extended his hitting streak to 12 games with a single to right last inning. We're in the third. The Dodgers lead 3-1. They're now hitting the Marlins 5-2. Neither team has made an error. This will be the 53rd pitch of the night from Pat Rapp. We're only in the third. And it's inside. Karros is hot. He attributes the open stance that you see with recent success. Made an adjustment. When he was more closed at the plate, he was actually flying open on pitches. This makes him hang in there on pitches.
Well, it also allows him a much better look at the pitcher. You can see how he squares up his face to the pitcher and opens up that front hip. Lots of hitters hit like that. Think how dramatic the stance of Jose Canseco is. How he hits almost out of a 45-degree angle, open up. and then steps in toward the ball once he picks it up.
Now the 2-2 to Karros. A hanger, and he drilled it down the left field line. That's a fair ball in the corner. Rodriguez will be held at third, and they have a play, and he's safe. They hesitated on the relay, and they thrown immediately to third. Rodriguez was a dead duck. He got the stop sign a little late from Joey Amalfitano and had to go scurrying back. Conine got to it quickly. It's a double for Karros, who continues to sizzle.
Sean, you were right on about that being a hanger, and Eric Karros' eyes lit up when he saw it, and he rips it down into the corner. Look how quickly Conine gets over and plays the ball back to the infield. And right here, Abbott doesn't see that Rodriguez was hung up at third base. There's the stop sign from Amalfitano. Go back, go back. And watch the tag by Brown. Looked like he got the ball okay. No, Rodriguez got his hand on the base before Brown could put the tag down.
Well, they're going to intentionally walk Mondesi, who was hit by a pitch in his last at bat, to load the bases. Set up a double play possibility with the number 8 hitter Gary Ingram batting next. A little bit surprised that with 5 straight hits, many of them solidly struck, there is no action in the Florida bullpen. As soon as we say that, Frank Rehberger sits down after calling out to the bullpen. And action is just now beginning.
Richie Lewis up to throw now.
He's not ready now. He's only thrown 3 warm-up pitches, and Rene Latchman's hoping that Rapp can get out of it himself with the 8-9 hitters coming up. Rapp is due to lead off the next inning for Florida. We're in the third. Rene Latchman of the Marlins trailed 3-1 in the rubber game of this 3-game series. Bases loaded, infield back at double play depth. Gary Ingram, the batter, he turned on one and hammered it foul into the left field stand.
It looks as though the Dodgers may have picked up on a pattern second time through the lineup. They have jumped on Pat Rapp. Remember Reggie Smith talking about a game plan, studying what a pitcher will give you in certain situations, and they put together 5 hits in this inning, and so far have come up with 3 runs.
Blowing away, and a good play by Santiago with that runner at third. He had to field the pitch, and he did. The count is 1 ball and 1 strike. The runner at third is Henry Rodriguez. At second, Eric Karros. And at first, after the intentional walk, Raul Mondesi. Still only 1 out. Ingram, the 8th batter of the inning. He took a borderline strike, and it's 1-2.
Has got to be hoping for some kind of action from Ingram here. Remember, Estacio's on deck, and he's not much of a hitter.
Fouled out of play to the right. Santiago wants to go to the mound. Tommy is animated best here in the first couple of innings of the ball game. He says, when my team loses, I feel like I have not done a good job, and he hasn't enjoyed the last couple of years very much. The realignment, as we noted at the outset, has been kind to the Dodgers. Braves are gone. Giants are struggling. The Dodgers are in first place. You know, they have the exact same record as they did at this point last year. Another 1-2 from Pat Rapp. Fouled away. Ingram taking the place of Delano DeShields. He made the jump from Double-A. When he arrived, he was wearing a pair of blue jeans that really didn't impress the Dodgers, so DeShields took him under his wing and took him to buy a new wardrobe. Well, the Orel doesn't want to be seen by that camera down there. He covered it up with his towel. Down to short. They'll have to hurry to turn 2. Abbott slipped as he threw. Barbary did a good job to field the throw and get the out. Rodriguez scores to make it 4-1.
I don't know if that would have been a double play ball even had Abbott kept his footing. Wasn't hit sharp enough with Ingram and his speed down the first baseline.
the pitcher, Pedro Estacio.
Take a look at the ground ball toward the hole. Abbott gets to it. Watch his right foot. His footing gives way. He still gets to throw to Barber. He does a good job to retouch the bag at second and get at least one out.
You can see how dark the infield dirt is here. They really watered down the playing field before the ball game begins. It's still dark, even though they watered it over an hour ago. Here's Kurt Abbott. Estacio dribbled one foul off third, and he's in the hole 0-2. He bounced to the first baseman Colburn unassisted last inning. He's the 9th batter of the third. The Dodgers have scored 4 runs to take a 4-1 lead, and they have first and third with 2 outs. Down to third, charged by Brown on the run. He throws him out. 32 pitches in the inning for Pat Rapp. 4 runs for Los Angeles, highlighted by the 3-run homer by Tim Wallace. Is having a terrific season for Kansas City. Here it's 4-1 in favor of Los Angeles. They scored all 4 runs on the top of the third. Marlins will have their chance to bat in the third now. And Pat Rapp, despite facing 9 batters, throwing 32 pitches and getting knocked around, will have the chance to continue. It's still early in the game. So Latchman elects not to send up a pinch hitter in the third. Rapp 3 for 19 this season, including an RBI. He'll be followed by the top of the order, Chuck Carr and Jerry Brown. Pedro Estacio is retired 4 in a row. Rapp hit it to short. Offerman throws him out.
We mentioned that Jose Offerman has really improved on his defensive play at shortstop. Last year, 37 errors so far this year, just 7 errors. And you can see that he's much more confident. He went after that ball very sure-handedly, knew he had some time with a pitcher. And that's pleased Tommy Lasorda. Anytime you're thinking about winning a division, you've got to have solid defense, particularly up the middle. And with Offerman's improvement in Delino to Shields, once he's back healthy at second base, he have a pretty good second base shortstop combination.
Chuck Carr ran up the bunt and looked at ball 1. Carr singled to right, leading off the floor to first, and scored the Marlins run. Scored from third on a 2-out single by Jeff Conine. Carr very confident, some say cocky. Interesting how candid Brett Butler was yesterday in talking about Chuck Carr, because even though he's hitting around 320 right now, I wouldn't guess that he'd hit 280 this year. That's just foul. Unless Carr learns to make some adjustments, and I'm not sure he knows how to make those adjustments. Orel apparently bothered by that camera, talking to the gentleman who runs it. And it's not an ESPN camera, by the way. It's part of the in-house Joe Robbie Stadium equipment. Carr out on the bounding ball to second. And here's Gary Miller.
Sean, the Silver Bullet's going to take us to the Big O. Brian Williams in trouble, and Clifford Floyd giving him more of it. A ringing double that gets by the right fielder, and that'll bring home Lenny Walker. They scored twice in the third to break a scoreless tie. They have 7 hits through 3. Jeff Becerra looking for his 5th win. Back to our game.
Our game's at 4-1 in favor of Los Angeles with 2 outs and the bases empty in the Florida third. Sean McDonough and Buck Martinez. Happy to have you with us for the first half of our ESPN Wednesday night doubleheader. Cleveland at Seattle coming up next. Mr. Griffey Jr. on a pace to hit 69 home runs. He's slowing down a little bit. Well, he did hit one last night.
24th last night. Putting up some big numbers. Making some noise out there. Talking about his desire to be on a winning ball club, and that there's not enough heart here in Seattle. He just wants to win. They're going to make a few changes there. They just called up Brian Terang, trying to gain a little more speed in that lineup. Their pitching staff overall a bit of a disappointment, particularly in the starting rotation.
The Mariners have really hurt themselves with their defense. One of the best fielding teams in all of baseball last year, and one of the worst this season. Tough to explain with essentially the same cast. Three and one, the count on Jerry Brown. Sacrificed in the first. And that's ball 4. Anastasio had retired 6 straight before the walk to Brown. First walk thrown by Anastasio. We're at Joe Robbie Stadium, the home of the Miami Dolphins, in addition to being the home of the Florida Marlins. And they've done a terrific job with the configuration here to make it feel like a baseball park. You really don't get the sense that you're in a cavernous 70,000 plus seat football stadium. They blocked off a lot of the football seats. You can see the tarp out there covering outfield seats. The baseball capacity just over 40,000. The seats very close to the action along both lines. And they have the teal tower, as Chris Berman dubbed it out there in left field, 33 feet at its highest point above that clock. Picnic area out in the right field bleachers. Very nice baseball park, although Wayne Huizenga, who's become the sports man here in South Florida, owns the Florida Panthers, the Dolphins, and the Marlins, says he wants to build a new baseball stadium, perhaps with a retractable dome and a grass playing surface about 10 miles west of here out in the Everglades. They hope within 5 years there will be a complex, a hockey rink for the Panthers and a baseball stadium for the Marlins. The Dolphins would remain here at JRS. On the ground, a second, kicked around momentarily by Ingram, but he recovered in time to throw out Carrillo and end the inning. We've played 3 here in Miami, 4-1 Los Angeles. We noted earlier that a couple of weeks ago, Rene Latchman lost his brother and pitching coach Marcel Latchman managed the California Angels. We talked to Rene about that move.
It was a tough thing. It was very emotional for me. It was the first time we had a chance to work together, and we've been in the game for 30-some years, and he did an outstanding job. And I'm not taking anything away from other major league pitching coaches I've been around, because I've been around some very good ones. And Dave Duncan, to me, I have a great deal of respect for him. But Marcel was he was outstanding, and any bit of success that I think that we have reached here in Florida has a lot to do with our pitching staff, and what we've done with our pitching staff has a lot to do with Marcel Latchman.
In a short period of time, Marcel Latchman had a big impact on this Florida team.
Well, he did, and the pitching coach here now, Frank Rehberger, had worked with Marcel in California as well as here. So they have worked together for several years, and Rehberger, of course, carries over some of Marcel's thoughts and principles of pitching. So Rehberger is now in place as the pitching coach for the Marlins.
Barbary eaten up by the ground ball, and Offerman is safe to open the inning. That's an error on Brett Barbary, and Offerman is aboard to start the 4th. He led off last inning with a strikeout, but then 8 more Dodgers came to the plate, and they scored 4 times.
Well, that ball just bounced up and hit Barbary right in the middle of the stomach. That's his 8th error of the season, a routine ground ball. That play should be made, and that's the kind of play that gets your pitcher in trouble.
Well, nothing new for the Marlins. Their 52nd error as a team that leads the National League, the worst team in the league defensively. Ball 1. And on the feet of Chris Gwynn, who started the 4-run uprising last inning with a single to center. He scored the first Los Angeles run on the 3-run homer by Tim Wallach. Chris bounced back to Pat Rapp, the pitcher, in the 1st. Offerman back to first base. He's only stolen 2. He's been thrown out once. Gwynn ordinarily used as a pinch hitter. This is only his 5th start of the season. 2nd tour of duty for Chris Gwynn with the Dodgers. He left Los Angeles, went to Kansas City, and has come back. Well, a 1-0 pitch. Talking about the brothers Latchman, there's a 3rd Latchman brother, Bill, who was a catcher in the Dodgers system back in the mid-50s, late 50s, early 60s. He's managing the Angels rookie league team in Mesa, Arizona. three Latchman brothers graduated from Dorsey High School in Los Angeles. Bill Latchman was a high school teammate of Sparky Anderson. And Rene was a bat boy for the Dodgers. 1959, 60, 61, and 62.
Great Southern Cal baseball tradition, the Latchman family. Now they're carrying that tradition on in the big leagues. You know, both Marcel and Rene played in the athletics organization. As you look at Richie Lewis throwing down in the bullpen. Marcel was a pitcher, Rene was a catcher. They were both in Des Moines in 1971.
2-2 on Chris Gwynn. This series has been the Rene Latchman milestone series. One positive as far as Rene is concerned, one negative. He earned his 300th win as a major league manager Monday night in that dramatic comeback. And then last night, when they were shut out by Ramon Martinez, it was his 400th loss as a major league manager. Managed Seattle, Milwaukee, and now the Marlins. Hoffman was running with a 2-2 pitch, lifted to center, not particularly deep. Chuck Carr with the catch. Out in Carr country, as he calls center field.
Well, he's got enough speed to cover all of center and some of left and right. Great speed, great acceleration, very acrobatic outfielder. And he's got some unusual nooks and crannies in that fence out there.
434, the deepest part of Joe Robbie Stadium. Mike Piazza hits it on the ground to short. Perfect double play ball, and they turn it with ease. 6-4-3. Abbott, Barbary, and Colburn, and that ends the inning. After 3.5 in Miami, 4-1 Los Angeles. Welcome back to Joe Robbie Stadium. We're heading to the bottom of the fourth inning. Florida coming to bat trailing by a score of 4-1. Marlins on just about the same pace as they were a year ago. Last year, after 61 games, they were 30-31. But then they really struggled the rest of the way. From that point on, they won only 34 games the rest of the season and lost 67. They're trying to sustain their early season success through the remainder of this 94 campaign. Jeff Conine singled in the center field to drive in a run. The only run for Florida in the first inning. Middle third of the order coming up against Estacio, Conine, Colburn, and Santiago. Marlins have not had a hit since Conine's RBI single in the first. Had only one base runner since then, a 2-out walk last inning to Jerry Brown.
Jeff Conine was drafted in the expansion draft out of the Kansas City Royals organization. With the Royals, he was a first baseman. With George Brett in the later stages of his career playing first, he was kind of backed up, and then Bob Hamlin was ahead of him in the organization.
Pop fly, shallow right. Rodriguez near the line. Dave Dombrowski said when they drafted Conine, the question was, could he play left field? They thought he was going to be a good major league hitter, as he has turned out to be. He's made the adjustment to left field very well, although Rene Latchman says if he played first base, he'd probably be one of the best first basemen in the league, and that's a possibility. Now that Orestes Descrade has been let go, that experiment did not work out over one season plus. He was given his release. Greg Colburn, they think, has a promising future as a hitter, but he's been injured a lot. Conine displeased after the fly ball to right. And Colburn's at the plate. And the 1-0 pitch to him is inside. Greg flied to right, ending the first inning. rocket shot into the Dodger dugout. Probably that scattered the troops down there.
Probably could have seen that one with that camera they've got in that dugout. That Oro was so concerned
still hooked up. Not like Oral to concern himself with trivial matters. He thinks there's spying going on. There's Hershiser. I mentioned he was pretty candid. Said really our team isn't any better than last year. It's just that with realignment, we're in a different division. That's why we're faring better. Colburn had it in on the hands. He popped it up, and it drops in shallow center in front of Mondesi and just out of the reach of Gary Ingram. And that's the third hit for Florida. It comes with 1 out in the 4th, and we check in with Gary Miller. Gary?
Sean, the Silver Bullet takes us to Montreal. Expos working on a 2-0 lead in the 4th. Jeff Bagwell tees off on Facero. There goes the shutout. Bagwell's 14th home run of the year. Then comes Ken Caminiti. Back-to-back Jack. Caminiti's had 13 home runs each of the last 3 seasons. That's his 11th. It's tied at 2 as they go to the 5th. Back to you.
And you don't hear trade talks involving Ken Caminiti anymore. High salaried player, but the season he's having there, content appears now to hang on to him in Houston.
Isn't that interesting the way those things happen? Rick Aguilera was going everywhere at the start of the year, and then Minnesota turned it around. All of a sudden you don't hear his name mentioned in trade talks at all. Very difficult for an organization to trade away a player like Caminiti or Aguilera. Sends a bad message to their fans right now.
Yes, it does. We're more concerned with keeping the payroll low than we are with winning right away. Santiago took a ball in the dirt, evening the count at a ball and a strike. Benito was out on a fly ball to left in the 2nd. Benito took a tag in the face at home plate from Mike Piazza on Monday night. And suffered some scratches on the side of his face and neck. Said he didn't really mind because Piazza immediately asked if he was okay. But then yesterday in the paper, he kind of popped off a little bit about it, which surprised Mike Piazza.
Yeah, he said, you know, if you feel like that, why would you announce it? Kind of sends a warning. Next time Piazza has a play at the plate with Santiago coming home, he's going to remember the quote that he's upset about the tag. Piazza, on the other hand, said, hey, I got crushed last week by Glenn Allen Hill, and I was just putting a tag on a base runner coming home. I can't think about where I'm going to tag him or how hard I'm going to tag him. I just got to make sure he's out.
Stasio has fallen behind 3-1. Glenn Allen Hill, the Cubs outfielder, steamrolled Piazza last week. Caused Mike to miss 3 games with sore ribs after the home plate collision. 4-1 Los Angeles. Marlins have a runner at first. Greg Colburn with 1 out in the 4th. And the count 3-1 on Santiago. He swung at ball 4 and chopped it foul. Santiago will be followed by Kurt Abbott here in the 4th. 4 runs on 6 hits for Los Angeles. 1 run, 3 hits, and 1 error for Florida. Colburn is not running with a 3-2 pitch. It's hammered in the left center for extra bases. Santiago on his way to second. He's Cadillacing and made it a close play. He pulled up into a trot about 30 feet from second base and then realized I better pick it back up again. And he's there safely with the double. To third on the play, Colburn. And the Marlins will bring the tying run to the plate here in the 4th.
Well, Santiago had a tough at bat. He fouled off a couple of bad pitches and then gets one out over the plate and he rips it to the alley. He didn't really come out of the box hustling. And then when he got close to second, he shut her down. Take a look at Colburn coming into third base. He gets the stop sign from Cookie Rojas. The throw goes to second, and it's a lot closer than Santiago anticipated. But he's got a double.
In high gear again as he approached the bag. The second and third. Base hit could bring the Marlins within a run. Home run would tie it. Kurt Abbott was at 3 this year. He had a bullet of a line drive to Offerman at short on the first pitch he saw in the second inning. Notice you really don't see much hair under the helmet of Kurt Abbott. He shaved his head this weekend. It was starting to get hot here in South Florida. You saw a picture of himself from a couple of years ago when he played winter ball in Venezuela with the crew cut. And his girlfriend shave off most of his hair after the game Sunday. Hasn't delivered much in this situation. Only a $184 with men in scoring position. Chased the pitch out of the strike zone. He was ahead in the count 2-0 and helped Estacio by chasing what would have been ball 3 in the dirt. One thing working in Estacio's favor, it's the bottom part of the order coming up. Abbott, the number 7 hitter. Brett Barbry's on deck, and then the pitcher, Rapp, is due. Second and third, and 1 out. 4-1 Los Angeles in the 4th. Estacio working from the windup. And Abbott popped it up. That won't get the job done. Offerman the catch, 2 down. A big out for Pedro Estacio as the runners are still at second and third. Ron Taranosky on his way to the mound. First base is open with Barbry coming up, and then the pitcher's due. He might decide to put that tying run at first base and pitch to the pitcher. And as they talk of the mound, we'll remind you tomorrow on ESPN, our coverage of the College World Series continues as Oklahoma, undefeated in the NCAA College World Series to this point, takes on Arizona State. That's at 3:30 Eastern time tomorrow. Arizona State faces elimination in the double elimination event. Oklahoma defeated Arizona State on Monday in 11 innings, 4-3. It's Oklahoma and Arizona State tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern time from Omaha on ESPN. Our thoughts and prayers go out to ASU coach Jim Brock and his battle against cancer. Had to go home to Arizona from Phoenix. Too sick to remain at the College World Series. We're thinking of him tonight. Brett Barbry, the batter. What do you suppose the message was? Pitch to him and pitch carefully?
Well, I think they were trying to weigh the options because pitcher is on deck. They'll obviously pitch hit for him if they put him on. So they would like him to be able to retire this hitter, but certainly don't want to give in to him.
And so far, nothing close. 2-0 on Barbry. Dodgers lead 4-1, 4th inning. 2 outs, 2 men in scoring position. The 2-0 is up and away, 3 balls and no strikes.
Tommy yelling at his pitcher, wanting him to retire this guy. They don't want to see a pinch hitter in this situation.
But they will as he walked Barbry on 4 straight. Second walk issued by Estacio. And Russ Moorman is going to come up to bat for the pitcher Rapp. And Richie Lewis is throwing. He'll be the pitcher. And the Marlins head into the field for the 5th inning.
Your attention, please. Ladies and gentlemen.
Moorman, the right-handed batter, it was just recalled from the minor leagues, is a 30-year-old power-hitting first baseman. He has bounced around from organization to organization. He got a break to come up to the big leagues with the Marlins this year.
Never really had much of a chance, despite a decade in the minors. Over 1,000 minor league hits, 1,037 to be exact, 115 lifetime homers in the minors. Organizations in Kansas City, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. No one's given him a consistent chance at the major league level. In fact, he said this past offseason he was adamant, stop worrying about being called up. I'm just going to have fun playing baseball. He did tell his 4-year-old daughter, Katie, if I get called up to the major leagues, I'll take you to Disney World. When he got the call on May 30th that he was going to join the Marlins in San Francisco, called his daughter and said, we'll be going to Disney World when the season is over. 2-0, and Tommy has watched Estacio throw 6 straight balls. No place to put Mormon. Mormon's been released twice by Cincinnati in his career, once by Pittsburgh. He hacked away at the 2-0 and popped it up. Eric Karros makes the catch, and the Marlins leave the bases loaded. Rapp departs. Richie Lewis will be the new pitcher when we come back to Miami.
Right-hander Richie Lewis comes on to work the 5th inning against the Dodgers. 4-1 score, top of the 5th inning. Marlins unable to cash in on a bases-loaded situation after Pedro Estacio walking to load the bases. This will be the 25th game of the year for Richie Lewis. 1-3 record, no saves, 4.44 ERA.
And obviously control his problem this year with 19 walks in 24 and a third innings. He's 28 years old, from Muncie, Indiana. Still makes his home in Muncie. And his first pitch is a strike to Tim Wallach with a big hit in this ball game, a 3-run homer to get the Dodgers on the board in the 3rd. That made it 3-1. They scored another run in the 3rd. They lead 4-1. Pat Rapp, the starter, worked 4 innings, 4 runs, all earned on 6 hits, including the Wallach home run. He walked 2, one of those an intentional walk. He struck out 2 and hit a batter.
There's a good curveball from Lewis. Wallach waved at the fastball, curveball, change up. Take a look at the break on this curveball. Comes out of his hand at the same angle as fastball does, and then the bottom falls out.
Another rocket off the bat of Wallach and another hit. Backhanded by Conine, holding Wallach to a single. Tim's 2 for 3 tonight.
Right fielder, Henry Rodriguez.
Now Henry Rodriguez, who singled to right field in the 3rd on the heels of the Wallach homer, and he scored the 4th run. That's 7 hits now for Los Angeles. They're out hitting Florida 7-4. We're in the 5th. 4-1 Dodgers. Of course, the big weapon out of the Marlins bullpen, their closer Brian Harvey, is on the disabled list, but beginning a rehab stint with their team here in the Florida State League. Tomorrow, Harvey will go to Brevard County, pitch for the Manatees. They want him to get 3 or 4 outings, including at least a couple that are back-to-back. They hope he can return mid to late next week.
Well, it's important that they have him go back-to-back to see how he responds. Anytime you have an injured pitcher, that's the big question. You know, he might be able to throw for 1 day, but how does he respond when you have to get him up a couple of days in a row? And before they activate him again, they will make sure that he is sound.
Rodriguez popped it up center of the diamond. Abbott, the shortstop, takes charge for the first out. As Renee Latchman says, it seems every day there's another injury. Sheffield and Harvey, the 2 all-stars for Florida last year, been on the disabled list for a while. Today, Mark Gardner, who started here Monday night, went on the 15-day disabled list with a groin injury. Right-hander Kurt Miller called up from Edmonton. Jeremy Hernandez was doing such a nice job as the closer in the absence of Harvey. He's out for the season. He had neck surgery for a disc problem on Monday. 3 hours of surgery. He won't be released until Friday. He'll be in a neck brace for 4 months. Wicked line drive down to 3rd, and that's a double play. Karros hit a bullet, but right at Jerry Brown, and that ends the inning. After 4.5 in Miami, still 4-1 Los Angeles.
The Silver Bullet takes us back to Kansas City. 2-1 game. Bob Milacki against Cal Ripken. His former mate. It's a long drive. Is it gone? Yes. As the fans scramble for it, Cal couldn't tell where it landed. It's gone. His 6th of the year. Orioles up 3-2. Back to our game in Florida.
Thanks, Gary. Here's the top of the order coming up for the Marlins. Chuck Carr to lead off against Pedro Estacio. He swings to the first pitch. Lazy fly, left center. Look out. Mondesi made a running backhanded stab of it. Wynn pulled up thinking Mondesi was going to play it routinely. It was anything but routine, but they made the play for the out.
Well, this is just the 3rd game in center field for Raul Mondesi. Remember, Brett Butler's the regular center fielder. So Butler gets the night off. Mondesi with such great talent out there makes that play easily. Tony Gwynn standing here has to duck out of his way, but it's a communication thing. Center fielder not really comfortable with the position. Didn't know to call Gwynn off earlier.
Ray Brown hasn't been up officially yet tonight. He sacrificed and walked. Another chance to extend his hitting streak to 8 games. He'll be followed by Matias Carrillo here in the 5th inning. Pedro Estacio got out of a jam last inning. Marlins at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. Bases loaded and 2 outs. Could not score. Estacio been working behind in the count a lot. 3-0. The count now on Brown. Taking all the way, it's a strike.
The thing to remember about this Dodger ball club is the way the bullpen has been giving it up lately. He gave up a 6-run lead here Monday night, a 3-run lead in Atlanta on Sunday. And they just aren't pitching the way they're capable of. Todd Worrell was on the disabled list with a side problem. At the time, he was really throwing the ball very well. So far, he hasn't really turned it loose the way he was before the injury.
Brown called out on a nasty pitch. So Estacio battled back from 3-0 to throw 3 straight strikes. That's his first strikeout of the night.
Well, it looked like he was going to walk himself into a situation, but he comes back and throws 3 good pitches, finishes off Brown with a good sinking fastball at the knees. A lot of movement on that pitch. Brown thought it might have been outside, but he's called out.
He was hoping that it was outside. Matias Carrillo bounced to second twice tonight. 31-year-old, spent a couple of years in the Mexican League. In fact, led the Mexican League last year in home runs and runs batted in, hit 38 homers before signing with the Marlins. He's nicknamed the Coyote. Matias says that when he was a young boy growing up in Mexico, he used to steal chickens to help feed his family. Hence the nickname the Coyote. Two balls and a strike. Rio saw Major League action very briefly back in 1991 with Milwaukee. Got into 3 games. That was his only Major League experience prior to joining the Marlins at the end of last year for the final month. Spent a lot of time in the Brewers minor league organization. Has had 2 separate stints in the Mexican League. Chop foul past Data Pinson in the first base coach's box. You have a pretty good team if you started with the coaches along the lines for Florida. Pinson, 256 career homers, over 1,000 RBIs in the first base box. And Cookie Rojas, the third base coach, 5-time All-Star second baseman during his playing days.
Second baseman at the start of the Kansas City Royals run.
2 strikeouts back-to-back for Estacio, his first 2 of the night. And that's it for Florida in the 5th. After 5, still 4-1 Dodgers. 37,109 outstanding crowd on a Wednesday night. here at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. It's karaoke night. They've been having fans come on the field from time to time to sing songs. They've been pretty good, the ones we've heard. Raul Mondesi leads off. Dodgers batting in the 6th against Richie Lewis with 1 inning of relief. Mondesi was hit by a pitch by the starter Rapp in the 2nd, and Rapp intentionally walked him in the 3rd. Raul will try again to extend his hitting streak to 13 games. Dodgers have a lock on the Rookie of the Year award in the National League. Mondesi seems a lock to win it for them for the 3rd straight year, following Karros and Piazza.
Anytime the Dodgers get themselves back into pennant contention, you can look at the players on their team, and most of them are homegrown. The key players, like Piazza behind the plate, Karros at first, and now in right field with Mondesi. Piazza, of course, Rookie of the Year last year. Tommy Lasorda has had, I believe, Mondesi is his 7th legitimate Rookie of the Year candidate. He had 6 winners.
Snyder on the right alongside Oral Hershiser. Reminded of last night when Snyder was taking batting practice. Tommy Lasorda was leaning up against the cage watching him hit. But if you don't like having Corey Snyder in the batter's box, you don't like Christmas. Fly ball to right. Matias Carrillo to catch for the first out of the 6th. Second half of our doubleheader tonight. An attractive matchup from the Kingdome where the Seattle Mariners and Ken Griffey Jr. take on the Cleveland Indians and Kenny Lofton. The Indians had won 8 straight before they arrived at the Kingdome. The Mariners have won the first 2 games of that series and look for the sweep tonight. They'll face a tough pitcher. Mark Clark will be on the mound for Cleveland. He's 6-1. That's at 10:30 Eastern time following our game from Miami tonight. Here it's 4-1 Dodgers. They've out-hit the Marlins 7-4. First pitch to Gary Ingram is low. He's 0 for 2, but he picked up an RBI when he reached on a fielder's choice in the 3rd. Of course, you talk about Dodger rookies of the year. Karros and Piazza the last 2 years. Steve Saxon 82, Valenzuela in 81, Steve Howe 1980, Rick Sutcliffe in 79. That was another string. Of course, they won it 4 years in a row. Jackie Robinson the first to win it, the first year of the award in 1947. There were 13 Dodgers since 1947 selected as Rookie of the Year, and they have a young man by the name of Roger Cedeno, just 19 years old from Venezuela, switch-hitting center fielder playing at AAA already at age 19, and they think he's not far away from being a big leaguer with a very bright future. Last report, he was hitting .311 for the Dukes. Ingram called out on strikes. First strikeout for Richie Lewis in his inning in 2/3. 2 down in the Los Angeles 6th.
It's the old country fastball outside corner at the knees. Gary Ingram can't pull the trigger. First strikeout for Richie Lewis. And he's throwing the ball very well tonight. I have been concerned with Richie Lewis's inconsistency. I'd like him to be a little more consistent so they can rely on him a little bit more.
You can't be concerned about his enthusiasm. He and his wife Andrea have a daughter named Mackenzie, who was born last year. She has 2 middle names, Marlina, take off on obviously on the Marlins nickname, and her other middle name is just the letter K for strikeout. Mackenzie Marlina K Lewis. Barbary throws out Estacio. Richie Lewis works a 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of the 6th upcoming. It's still a 3-run lead for the Dodgers.
Leaving no stone unturned, the Silver Bullet takes us to the College World Series. Cal State Fullerton's Jeremy Giambi. It is gone. Opposite field off Georgia Tech's Brad Rigby to break up the shutout. Georgia Tech unbeaten in the tournament. Cal State Fullerton has to win to move on. It's tied at 2 in the 6th. Back to Sean and Buck.
Augie Garrido's team on the comeback trail in Omaha. Marlins trying to get on the comeback trail here in Miami. They have the middle 3rd of the order coming up. Conine, Colburn, and Santiago against Pedro Estacio. Retired 4 in a row as he goes to work in the 6th. Conine drove in the Florida run in the 1st inning with a single to center. He flied to right in the 4th. Jeff Conine's an outstanding racquetball player. In fact, national caliber racquetball player. Won the junior national championship when he was 18 years old. Got married. His wife, Cindy. They got married in the offseason. She's a national caliber racquetball player as well. Just out on the fly ball to right for the first out of the sixth. In fact, they competed in the national mixed doubles championships this past offseason and finished third. Married in the offseason in the Buffalo, New York area, and Jeff and Cindy Conine had their wedding reception at an aquarium, the Niagara Falls Aquarium. So they wanted to do something different. That's different. Greg Colburn, the batter. He's 1 for 2, single to center in the fourth.
Pedro Stasio works into the 6th inning here against the Marlins, and he is pitching much better than his last 2 starts. Just 1 walk so far, a couple of strikeouts. He hasn't had great control, but he's able to overcome it. He's fallen behind several Marlins hitters, but has fought his way back. That time that fastball got away from him.
And it's 3-0. You're right. The Marlins really haven't been able to capitalize on being ahead in the count much of the night against Estacio. He walks Colburn on 4 pitches. Third walk thrown by Pedro. And a 1-out base runner.
There you see. Stacio's line was there for a moment. A run on 4 hits for the Marlins so far. 1 earned run. He's walked 3, but so far that hasn't been a problem for him. 84 pitches. That's a result of his falling behind so often.
Put it up there again, the line. For those who weren't Evelyn Wood, they didn't fully grasp it the first time it was up there. But now everybody knows exactly what Estacio has done today. And he's pitched quite well on the heels of a shutout last night by Ramon Martinez. Marlins bats have been quiet since Monday night's stirring comeback when they were down 9-3 in the 7th inning. Had 2 outs in the 7th and a club record 7 straight hits. Tommy Lasorda used 4 different pitchers to get the final out of that inning. To short. And they turn it. Benito Santiago bounces into a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. 6 innings played here in Miami. Still 4-1 Los Angeles. Welcome back to Miami. Sean McDonough with Buck Martinez. The Dodgers lead 4-1. They scored 4 times in the 3rd inning, and right now the biggest stretch of the ball game is probably the Marlins' 4th when they had the bases loaded and failed to score.
Yeah, they had the bases loaded and got pinch hitter Russ Moorman up to the plate. And Estacio has been walking a thin line all night long. His control hasn't been outstanding. He's walked 3 to this point, but Moorman popped up on the infield and it ended that Marlin threat. They just haven't been able to get to Estacio, who looks like he's given the Marlins opportunities to get back in the ball game.
And Tommy Lasorda hopes that his starter can hang in there for a while with as shaky as his bullpen has been, particularly of late. Their earned run average for the Dodgers bullpen for the first 5 games of this road trip, nearly 10 per game. 9.9 the bullpen ERA. Top of the order again for Tommy Lasorda. Hoffman batting for the 4th time tonight, and on all 4 occasions he's led off the inning. He's 0 for 3. Did reach back in the 4th on an error by the 2nd baseman Brett Barbary. Win on deck, then Piazza against Richie Lewis, who pitched 2 innings of scoreless relief. He's allowed only 1 hit. A rocket nearly took Lewis's head off. And let's check in with Gary Miller.
Sean, the Silver Bullet takes us to Texas. Melito Perez nursing a 4-2 lead. Dean Palmer tomahawks a shot in the left field. With 2 aboard, that double will bring home Canseco and Rusty Greer. That tied it to 4. He scored in the fielder's choice, and now the Rangers hold a 5-4 lead in the 7th. Back to you.
The Rangers have been scoring runs in bunches lately.
Boy, and that Jose Canseco comeback is at full speed, isn't it?
It's probably a story that hasn't gotten enough attention here in 1994. So many people thought his career was over when he blew out his elbow pitching in Fenway Park a little more than a year ago now. He has battled back in a big way, determined to take his place again among the game's elite. He's done it. Chris Gwynn 1 for 3. He singled and scored on the Wallach home run in the third. Took a first pitch strike from Lewis. The ball inside. We mentioned the shaky Los Angeles bullpen. The Dodgers have just announced that they have purchased the contract of right-handed pitcher Ismael Valdez from Albuquerque, their AAA team, and they have designated for assignment the contract of left-handed reliever Gary Wayne. Valdez will join the club tomorrow in Chicago, 3-0 at Albuquerque. Used there as a starter. Wayne appeared in 19 games for the Dodgers in relief this season with 1-3 with an ERA of 4.67. Fred Clare, the executive vice president of the Dodgers, general manager, is on this road trip here in Joe Robbie Stadium tonight. Hoffman back to first, held on by Colburn. Richie Lewis, who experienced the excitement of the College World Series while he was at Florida State, pitched on ESPN while a Seminole. He was an All-American at FSU in his sophomore and junior seasons. Led the nation in strikeouts, good Lewis, in 1987. Outside. 3-1 on Chris Gwynn. Dodgers batting in the 7th. They lead 4-1. They're now out hitting the Marlins 8-4. The runner goes, and there's a deep drive to right. Carrillo at the wall. Terrific running catch. Offerman had rounded second. It'll be an easy double play. Not only had he rounded the bag, but then he stumbled. Mateus Carrillo, a fine running catch at the wall. And the Marlins turn it into a double play.
What a fine catch by the right fielder, Mateus Carrillo. He got turned around, was actually looking over the wrong shoulder, and then gets himself straightened out, bangs into the wall, and gets it back to the infield. Offerman's running on the play. He watches this play and then decides that Carrillo can't make the play. Then he sees him catch it, falls down at second, and says, I can't get back anyway, so it's a double play behind Richie Lewis. A fine catch by the right fielder.
Richie's had some good fortune since he came into the game. Not only did the Marlins turn this double play and a ball hit to the wall by Gwynn, but you'll recall back in the 5th inning, Caros lined into a double play when he hit a screaming line drive at the third baseman Jerry Brown. Piazza tried to power up on that one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Marlins have been 3 double plays tonight. Piazza hit into a 6-4-3 twin killing to end the 4th. He singled and scored in the 3rd, walked back in the 1st.
John, many coaches and managers will tell you as a base runner, when you're often running on a hit and run like that and a left-hander hits the ball on the line behind you, you might as well keep on running because you're not going to get back anyway. It was hit so sharply, the long running catch by Carrillo, and Tommy Lasorda says, man, oh man, we're hitting everything on the button, but we can't catch a break, can't find a hole.
Fastball high. Piazza checked his swing. They appealed down to first. Frank Pulley said it was not a swing. 2 balls and 2 strikes. bases empty in the 7th. And Piazza still alive. Dodgers with all 4 of their runs in the 3rd. 3-run homer by Wallach. RBI for Ingram on a fielder's choice. Marlins run was in the 1st. Jeff Conine, a single, drove in Chuck Carr. Started the inning with a single. Piazza called out. He thought the pitch was inside. That ends the inning. Richie Lewis has pitched 3 scoreless innings of relief. He has struck out 2. Stretch time in Miami.
The Silver Bullet takes us to Montreal. Jeff Fassero facing opposing pitcher Brian Williams in the 2-all game, and he nubbed it through the left side. Here comes Bagwell. Here comes Caminiti. They had both homered back-to-back on consecutive pitches earlier in the game. Now they put Williams up 4-2. That's the way it stands. They go to the bottom of the 6th as Houston's trying to take over first in the Central Division if they win. Back to our game in Florida.
Thanks, Gary. 7th inning stretch for the crowd of over 37,000 here. And the Dodgers lead 4-1. Tommy Lasorda's made changes, trying to shore up his defense for the final innings. He put Corey Snyder into the game in right field. Snyder now in right. And the starting right fielder, Henry Rodriguez, has moved to left. Chris Gwynn is out of the ball game. Snyder will bat in Gwynn's spot in the batting order, the 2nd spot. Last night on ESPN, another great night of hockey action. Alexei Kovalov's power play goal in the 3rd period, set up brilliantly by Brian Leach, put the Rangers ahead to stay and put New York 1 win away from its first Stanley Cup since 1940. The Rangers can close it out tomorrow night on ESPN as we bring you Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals, 8 Eastern Time from Madison Square Garden. Think there'll be a little energy in that crowd tomorrow night for the New Yorkers?
What a big year in New York sports. And Rangers, Yankees having a big year.
Kurt Abbott, deep drive, right center, at the wall, off the wall, and it bounces over the head of Mondesi. At least 3 for Abbott, and he'll stop there with his team trailing by 3.
Gets them to their feet here to start the 7th inning. He drives the ball up the alley in right center. Corey Snyder can't come up with it. Kurt Abbott sizes it up, goes all the way to 3rd base, and then checks in with Cookie Rojas and gets the stop sign. Leadoff triple for the Marlins.
And a chance for an RBI for Brett Barbary. Fouled the first pitch away. That's the 5th hit for Florida. Barbary fly to center in the 2nd, walked in the 4th. That will get the run in. Ingram takes the out at first. It's 4-2 Los Angeles. 20th RBI of the season for Brett Barbary. Be a batter for Richie Lewis. Did a fine job for Renee Latchman tonight. 3 innings of scoreless relief. Dave Magadan is batting. Listen, he's been bothered lately by a fractured toe. He says he's at 70%. The trainer Larry Starr says you're not at least 80%, you're on the disabled list. So he's upgraded Dave's estimate by a little bit.
Now you see what Magadan's done this year. A homer, 13 RBIs. As a pinch hitter, he's 3 for 6.
And he takes a strike. Billy Frazier is warming up in the Florida bullpen.
Left-hander Yorkis Perez is also down there throwing. 2
balls and a strike on Magadan. Fractured fractured little toe in his left foot. That's an epidemic. Luis Aquino, one of the Marlins pitchers, just went on the DL with a fractured little toe in his right foot. He did it walking into a table in his hotel room in Houston a few days ago. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Magadan. Former New York Met, Seattle Mariners. 4-2 Los Angeles. In the 7th, base hit. Line drive through the middle. Dave Magadan is 4 for 7 as a pinch hitter this season. And the Marlins will bring the tying run to the plate again here in the 7th inning. Tom Candiotti is throwing. Probably that's just some work between the strikes. Darren Dreifert on the right of your screen. The reliever warming up. Stasio looking in at Chuck Carr. First pitch sent toward the Dodger bullpen. And that's where it landed.
Candiotti was just throwing evidently. Osuna takes over for him, the left-hander. Candiotti pitched here on Monday. The starting pitcher in that 11-10 loss the Dodgers suffered at the hands of the Marlins.
And the bullpen blew a 6-run lead. Count even now with a ball and a strike on Carr. He singled and scored in the first. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Tying run at the plate in the home half of the 7th. Ball 2. Carr's had a fine offensive year. They've been after him to improve his defense. Missed a couple of cutoff men in that 11-10 game Monday night. He's made 4 errors in center field this year. That's the National League high for errors by a center fielder. Ray Lankford of St. Louis has also made 4. The 2-1 fastball, and now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Anytime you have the kind of speed that Chuck Carr has, you're much better off if you can keep it out of the air, put it on the ground, put it in play, take advantage of that great speed, put the pressure on the infield defense to make the plays. You can see how he spreads out the defense both on the infield and in the outfield.
A lot of room to hit in right center. The 2-2. Half swing, tapper down the line, it bounced foul. Fortunately for Carr, who is going to be an easy out at first base. Tommy Lasorda's starter is approaching 100 pitches. Estacio has now thrown 98 on a very warm and humid night. It was 90 degrees at game time. It doesn't feel like it's gone down very much. Dreifert is still throwing, as is Osuna. Another 2-2 and another half swing. He got it by the mound. They'll have to execute, and they do. Carros flipped to Estacio for the out. Magadan, the scoring position.
Pretty good play by the first baseman and the pitcher to retire Chuck Carr with that good speed down the line.
It's now Jerry Brown trying to dump one to the outfield and get the Marlins within a run. Jerry's 0 for 1 with a sacrifice bunt and a walk. His 7-game hitting streak on the line. We're in the bottom of the 7th. It's 4-2 Los Angeles. strike on Brown. Dave Magadan, the runner at second, with 2 outs.
Lay down, lay down.
Fly ball to left, not real deep. And the catch is made by Rodriguez to end the inning. 1 run for Florida in the 7th. We head to the 8th, 4-2 Los Angeles.
The silver bullet takes us to Montreal, the Major League debut of Brian Looney. Not a good one. Jeff Bagwell, a fellow nutmeg stater, hits his 2nd home run of the game, number 15 of the year. That's a 3-run poke. Breaks the game wide open at 7-2. Baltimore in a tight one at KC. There goes McLemore. Here comes Boyd home. On the ground by Ripken. Gailey comes home, and he is meat. But it's still a 3-2 game as the Orioles come to bat in the 6th, and we go back to Sean and Buck at Miami.
Thank you, Gary. With those 4 runs batted in tonight, Jeff Bagwell has overtaken the Dodgers' Mike Piazza for the National League lead in runs batted in by a margin of 56-54. It's the Dodgers by 2 as we go to the 8th. And Willie Frazier is the new pitcher for the Marlins.
Frazier was purchased from Edmonton on June 2nd to take the place of Jeremy Hernandez, who we mentioned had surgery on a disc in his neck.
What a shame. He was having a terrific year. Really, the Marlins tried 3 closers now, and all 3 have been great. Brian Harvey, you know what you're going to get from him. Then it was Hernandez, and he was terrific. And now it's Rob Nen, who has really settled into the closer role nicely. Frazier. And a ball and a strike with Tim Wallach, who's 2 for 3 tonight. He had the biggest hit in this game, a 3-run homer to center field, his 14th of the season in the 3rd. He singled off Richie Lewis in the 5th. The home run was off the starter, Pat Rapp. Lewis pitched 3 innings of relief without allowing a run. He gave up only 2 hits. Did not issue a walk, and he struck out 2. Frazier will face Wallach, Rodriguez, and Karros. Frazier, a 30-year-old right-hander from Newburgh, New York. Marlins are his 4th Major League team. Came up with the Angels, and with Toronto, St. Louis, now Florida. And he walks the leadoff hitter.
Well, Latchman's had pretty good work out in the bullpen, particularly from Lewis tonight with 3 innings. Kept the Dodgers off the scoreboard in all but 1. That was the 4-run 3rd inning. And that was enough to keep the Dodgers ahead at 4-2.
Henry Rodriguez, the batter. He swings away and hits a pop-up. Magadan, who remained in the game after the pinch hit, made the catch for the first out of the inning. That means Frazier would bat 9th in the 8th inning. Magadan into the ball game. Frazier would bat in Brown's spot as he has departed. Wallach still at first with 1 out. And Eric Karros is the batter. Hit the ball sharply all 3 times up tonight. Extended his hitting streak to 12, longest of his career, with a single to right in the 2nd. He doubled to left in the 3rd. Last time up, he hit the ball harder than he has all night. With a bullet to Jerry Brown at 3rd. It turned it into a double play. We're in the 8th inning. It's 4-2. Billy the Marlin. Wouldn't mind if he came by here with that big squirt gun with as hot as it is here tonight.
They're not complaining about it, are they?
No. I understand why they'd want a retractable dome in this part of the country. Midsummer months. This is still early June. It's supposed to get hotter here. That's hard to believe. Jaros with his 2 for 3 tonight, now over 300. Started the night at 296, up to 301. Little Mondesi to follow against Frazier. Close pitch.
That's a forkball that Willie Frazier will use. Get the strikeout. That was a pretty good pitch that ran down in on Karras. Take a look at it. Watch the movement as it gets into the hitting area. Down and in. Santiago receives it, but it's inside.
Two balls and 2 strikes. The Golden Greek, as Tommy Lasorda calls Eric Karros. They've set up inside. And that's a call, 3rd strike. Frazier put it right into the mid of Santiago for the 2nd out of the inning.
Well, he went inside with a forkball, comes back inside with a fastball, and this time he gets the call. This is the inside corner. It's first strikeout for Frazier in this, his first inning of work.
And tonight you can sweat right through your hat and understand why Tommy Lasorda hasn't been wearing his tonight. A shot of Willie Frazier sweating right through the lid. Now Mondesi. Was signed by the Dodgers when he was 15 years old. Signed by Dodgers Vice President Ralph Avila, who runs the Dodger Academy in the Dominican Republic. Ralph said it was the quickest decision I've ever made. One look at Mondesi and knew that he wanted him in the Dodgers organization. Brett Butler says Mondesi has the best arm in any outfielder he's ever seen. One ball and 1 strike.
Well, we mentioned Mondesi and the comparisons that both Reggie Smith and Tommy Lasorda have drawn between the late great Roberto Clemente. There you see Brett Butler. He has high expectations for the young Dodger rookie Mondesi.
Tommy Lasorda spent a lot of time in spring training working with Mondesi on how to hit the breaking ball. Tommy himself literally threw Mondesi hundreds of breaking balls down Vero Beach. Tommy still likes to go out there and throw BP and likes to show off his left-handed breaking ball. Line to left and dropping fast. Conine played it on a hop. Crowd thought he caught it, but Joe West, the third base umpire, was not fooled. He trapped it. So Mondesi has a hit, and he's extended his hitting streak to 13 games.
Obviously, you can see that Conine smothered it, trapped it, took one little short hop, but he holds it up for the umpire, trying to sell it to him.
Good try to no avail, and the Dodgers threaten with 2 outs in the 8th inning. They have first and second. Jerry Ingram due up, but Dave Hansen has been introduced to pinch hit. Frank Rehberger, the pitching coach, goes back to the mound. Jeff Mutis, a lefty, is throwing in the Marlins bullpen. There's Mutis, former Cleveland Indian. 4-2 Los Angeles in the 8th, and very important from the Florida Marlins perspective. They plan on coming back to retire Dave Hansen and hold off the Dodgers. Can't afford to fall any further behind tonight.
Hansen is 4 for 14 as a pinch hitter. Set the Dodger record for pinch hits last year. And I'm sure Frank Rehberger, the pitching coach, just a reminder for Willie Frazier on the strengths of Dave Hansen.
sort of really has a very serviceable bench. Hansen, an excellent pinch hitter, as is Chris Gwynn, who gave him a start tonight. Mitch Webster, another who's been called upon to pinch hit, and he's been effective in that role. Getting good work out of the platoon. And left, Rodriguez and Snyder, they've really been more productive than Darryl Strawberry was when he was playing. They combined their statistics. Santiago tried to throw down a second. It was a hopper fielded by Abbott. Pedro Estacios on deck, the pitcher. Wallach leads from second. Frazier wants Santiago to run through the signs again. Mondesi is aboard at first with 2 outs. 8th inning, 4-2 Los Angeles. The 2-0 to Hansen. In the air, center field. Room for Carr. The Dodgers strand 2. Those are the first runners that they've left on since the 3rd inning. Bottom of the 8th upcoming, 4-2 Los Angeles. Welcome back to Miami for ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Coors Light. First half of our ESPN Wednesday Night doubleheader coming to you from Joe Robbie Stadium, where the Dodgers lead the Marlins 4-2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. One change for the Dodgers. Eddie Pye is in at second base as Dave Hansen hit for Gary Ingram. Pedro Estacios gone all the way. His first pitch of the 8th inning, a ball to Matias Carrillo. He's 0 for 3.
Dodgers will be very pleased with the outing they've gotten from Estacio tonight in light of his previous 2 starts.
Dribbled down the line. Karros, an easy play, 1 out.
Estacio, in his last 2 starts, pitched a total of 6 innings, allowed 13 hits and 13 runs. So he's turned it around a bit here tonight, holding the Marlins to just 6 hits and 2 runs.
Left fielder, Jeff Conine.
There's Eddie Pye, the second baseman.
Pye was just called up from Albuquerque on the 2nd of June. Picked up his first big league hit Friday night against Tom Glavine.
Good for him. He's been clanging around in the Dodge organization quite a while, since 1988. Chance to play, and he's taken advantage of it. Jeff Conine. Fastball up and in. He's ahead in the count 2-0. He singled in the first inning and drove in the run that gave the Marlins a 1-0 lead. He's flied to right twice since. It's 4-2 Los Angeles. Routine hopper to short. You're right about Hoffman. He looks much more confident than he has in the past.
Yeah, you can see himself getting set up to receive the ball very confidently. Took his time, no panic at all in his approach. Good solid throw to first base for the 2nd out of the inning.
Very quickly, 2 outs for the Marlins. Now they had high hopes with their big bats coming up here in the 8th, and with Estacio perhaps tiring over 100 pitches in the heat. We're in the 8th inning. But Carrillo and Conine out for Latchman on 2 weak ground outs, and now it's Greg Colburn. There's a hit. Solid single in the left, retrieved by Rodriguez. 2 for 3 is Colburn. They feel if he can stay healthy, he'll be a productive major league hitter, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. As a matter of fact, right now he's on a schedule during which he plays every other day.
Rene Latchman keeps all kinds of charts and stats, sits in his office and goes over them each day before the game to see if there are any good matchups or bad matchups he should be aware of.
Tying run at the plate several times tonight. The Marlins have had a chance to tie it with 1 swing of the bat. They haven't been able to take advantage of it. Santiago doubled in the left center in the 4th. Has only hit in 3 trips. Two outs. Colburn at first. 8th inning, 4-2 Los Angeles. Coming up in a half hour from Seattle here on ESPN, the Mariners host the Cleveland Indians. Joining Joel Myers and Jim Cott for that ball game. Griffey Jr. 2 homers in his last 2 nights. After going 8 games without one. No long ball surrendered by Estacio tonight. Only 7 hits and 7 2/3. The next pitch will be number 110.
Every time it looks as though he's going to break, he doesn't. He comes back and makes good pitches. Marlins had him on the ropes back in the 4th inning. After a 2-out walk to load the bases, Estacio got pinch hitter Russ Foreman to pop up on the infield.
Santiago looked like he had a pretty good pitch to hit, and he fouled it off. The catcher Piazza
came out of his shoes, didn't he? That hanger lit up his eyes. He thought he could take a shot, tie this thing up. Watch how he goes after this pitch. Right up around the letters. It's a hanging breaking ball. Big swing, but he just got a piece of it. Fouled it off.
trying to take it over the teal tower and left. The 1-2 pitch. Low. Back-to-back outstanding pitching performances of Tommy Lasorda's starters in the last 2 games of this series. Ramon Martinez, a 3-hit shutout last night. Estacio has pitched into the 8th inning tonight and is working with a 4-2 lead. Now his 2-2 offering. Weekly to second for Eddie Pye. And that ends the inning. Marlins have stranded at 7. And we go to the 9th. The Dodgers still lead by 2. Now time for the Kelly Springfield Tire Company key plays of the game. Without question, the key play of the game came in the Los Angeles 3rd. Pat Rapp, the Florida starter, wrapped by this 3-run homer off the bat of Tim Wallach. Made it 3-1 Los Angeles. They scored another run later in the inning. Estacio has done a good job pitching out of some difficulty tonight. Hasn't relied too heavily on the strikeout. He did fan Carrillo to end the 5th. And it's 4-2 as we go to the 9th. First pitch from Willie Frazier. A ball to Estacio, so without the pinch hitter, Tommy Lasorda clearly is going to give Pedro a chance to start the 9th, and he hopes finish it himself. You can understand why he would want to stay away from the bullpen. Provided no relief of late for Los Angeles. Estacio, Offerman, and Snyder due up here in the 9th inning.
Well, the bullpen didn't work in last night's game with Pedro Martinez throwing that 3-hit shutout at the Marlins. Estacio looking for his 3rd complete game of the season in the bottom of the 9th inning. There's Pedro Martinez, outstanding performance. Ramon Martinez, of course.
Estacio.
That's a pretty good swing there. That wasn't too bad.
At the eye-high fastball. He's put it in play 3 times tonight for all the fun we had at his expense when he came up for the first time tonight, talking about his lack of ability with the stick. He has grounded out 3 times, hasn't whiffed tonight. Came into this game having struck out 12 times in 20 at bats. And he's worked the count full. That's in the hole. It'll be a tough play for Abbott. And save. Estacio has a hit. Assuming they scored a hit. And they do. So Pedro Estacio has his 2nd hit of the season. He's 2 for 24.
I guess you could say we could see this coming all night long. He'd made contact, hits the ball in the hole. Abbott goes to his right. Estacio hustling down the line, beats out the infield base hit to short.
Well, this is one ballpark in which we would never question the official score. He is one of the great guys in all the sports. Harvey Green Many years, we shouldn't say many years because nobody is the PR director for the Yankees for many years, but for a few minutes he was the public relations
tenure with the
director
Yankees.
for George Steinbrenner. George changes PR man more often than he does the manager. And Harvey's now working here in Florida with the Miami Dolphins as their outstanding PR director and does a terrific job as the official scorer for Marlins home games. Hoffman asked to bunt again. There's Harvey Green. If there's a nicer man in sports, we haven't met him. Harvey ran the Boston Marathon back in April. Finished in under 5 hours. Offerman lays down the sacrifice. Frazier threw to Barbary. 1-4 the scoring of the sacrifice. The Dodgers have that insurance runner. Estacio in scoring position with 1 out in the 9th as Los Angeles tries to build on a 4-2 lead.
Well, Offerman gets the bunt down. Moves the runner over. So he'll be pleased with that.
Yes, there'll be no outbursts in the tunnel this time, one would suspect. Corey Snyder batting for the first time tonight. Mentioned the platoon and left of Snyder and Rodriguez coming into tonight's ball game. They combined for 11 homers and 40 runs batted in, and certainly that's ahead of the pace that Strawberry had been giving them the last couple of years. We're seeing that Darryl Strawberry's name has resurfaced again in San Francisco as a possibility, particularly now that Willie McGee is likely lost for the year with the injury suffered last night. Throw to second. Estacio trying to scurry back, and he jammed his leg into the bag quite sharply, but no signs of any pain. Well, perhaps just a little grimace from Estacio.
Well, he hasn't been on base that often. Watch how he strays too far away from the bag at second. Barbary sneaks in behind him, and then he really hits the base hard. A lot of pressure on that right knee.
Snyder swings and misses for strike 3. That's the second out of the inning. Second half of our Wednesday night doubleheader here on ESPN. Cleveland versus Seattle. Said earlier, Ken Griffey Jr. 2 homers in the last 2 games after going 8 games without one, on a pace to hit 69. And the Indians are keeping the pressure on the Chicago White Sox in the American League Central. Just a game and a half back, despite how well Chicago's played over the last month. They will intentionally walk Mike Piazza. Will the Marlins and take their chances with Tim Wallach, which is certainly a gamble the way Wallach has swung the bat tonight.
Pure percentages, I suppose. Piazza with 54 ribbies. And put him on and work the Wallach, although Wallach has been the hot hitter tonight.
He sure has been. The big 3-run homer and a single. Wallach's driven in 45 this year. We've seen Renee Latchman at those charts all night long. As Buck says, he has the percentages on every possibility. He's always done that. He's a coach or a manager. Kept voluminous notes, and he relies heavily on them. Wallach faced Frazier last inning and walked. That's the first man Willie faced upon entering the ball game. These 2 for 3, homered off Rapp, singled off Lewis.
This matchup really favors Tim Wallach because Willie Frazier is not a high fastball type of pitcher. He throws a lot of breaking balls, sinking fastballs, and a forkball, and they're all down. That's where Wallach is really strong.
The 1-0. Here's the strike on the outside corner. Ball and 2 strikes.
That was a good fork ball from Frazier. Really fooled Wallach. The fork ball is meant to look like a fastball, and then the break takes it out of the strike zone.
Pollock's had a big series, had 4 hits on Monday night here at Joe Robbie Stadium, matching his career high. 12th time in his career he's had 4 hits in a game. With his appearance tonight, Tim's now played 1,811 games in his career at third base. More than any current player in the majors at that position. Four 4-2 Los Angeles. They're trying to add to the lead in the 9th. The first and second and 2 outs. The 2-2 chopped foul. The pitcher, Estacio, started the inning with an infield single, was sacrificed to second. And Piazza was intentionally walked. Snyder struck out for the second out prior to the walk to Piazza. And Willie Frazier delivers another 2-2 pitch way outside and low. Santiago thought about a throw down to first and had Piazza scurrying back to the bag.
You always got to be alert with Santiago behind the plate. Piazza was thinking about that, and he hustled back in and eliminated any chance for Benny to throw him out. Now he's going to go out and talk with Frazier here. Brett Barbery will come in.
Frazier covering his mouth. I don't remember you doing that when you caught all those years in the major league. It's kind of a new wrinkle, it seems, but becoming more popular with the comments at the mound of players covering their mouth with a glove.
Very paranoid about hitters or on-deck batters reading their lips, talking about what they're going to throw. Might be overkill.
Very important pitch. The runners will be going. And Frazier stepped off. Estacio, not an experienced base runner out there. Thought they might be able to catch him. But they didn't. And Wallach continues to wait for the 3-2 from Willie Frazier. The runners go. It's a fly ball to center. Easily handled by Carr. The Dodgers had a chance to pad the lead, but did not. They strand 2. They've left 9 through 9 innings. Bottom of the 9th. Last chance for the Marlins, down by 2. Marlin fans still faithful. Their team coming up from the bottom of the 9th. Trailing by 2. It's 4-2 in favor of Los Angeles. Baseball continues to be a big hit here in South Florida. The Marlins averaging better than 32,000 fans per home date. Ray Lashman says all they want to do this year is improve, and he says the fans are going to judge the improvement based on the wins or losses. Will we win more than the 64 we won last year? But he says he's not as concerned with if they actually beat the win total. He thinks they have a great chance to do so. He just wants to see them play better and show signs of improvement.
To see individuals improve and understand how it's going to be if they're going to turn this into a winning organization, the fundamentals of the game, and improve defensively.
Some changes in the Dodger outfield. Tommy Lasorda looking for still more defense. Brett Butler enters the game as the center fielder.
Brett was given the night off. To this point, they've got an off day tomorrow. The team flies to Chicago, and Brett was looking forward to that off day. He's going to get a chance to visit with his mom, Betty. And Brett wanted to say hi to Betty and say, see you tomorrow. Betty is battling cancer, and Brett sends along his good wishes, as do we.
Raul Mondesi's moved to right field. His usual position. Corey Snyder has moved to left, where he has seen most of his action this year. The Dodgers have a strong defensive outfield in there as Abbott sends one deep down the right field line, slicing into foul ground. Mondesi couldn't get it. Had a play, but was running out of room. And he extended the arm, did not snare the fly ball of Abbott in his glove.
Abbott's driven a couple of balls deep to the right side of the outfield. He tripled in the 7th inning up the alley in right center. And this time he drives one down toward the right field corner. Mondesi kind of tentative as he's not really sure where that wall is. Remember, he started out in the center. Moves into right with Butler coming on in the 9th inning defensively.
Stasio trying to pitch his 3rd complete game of the season. Barbery's on deck, then the pitcher is due. 1-1 on Abbott. That triple the other way is only hit tonight. We had a little chin music from Pedro when spinning out of the way. That crew cut just got a little shorter for Kurt Abbott. 1 for 3 tonight is Kurt with that triple and run scored in the 7th. 4-2 Los Angeles. The leadoff hitter of the 9th, Kurt Abbott. He was the Pacific Coast League All-Star shortstop last year at Tacoma in the Oakland organization. Traded to the Marlins in the offseason in a deal for Kerwin Moore. 2 promising prospects swapped for each other. 3 balls and a strike. And Estacio might be running out of gas. Looked like his arm really dropped down there and he was throwing uphill. He walks the leadoff hitter. The tying run again comes to the plate. And Ron Peranowski, the pitching coach, goes to the mound. Estacio on a very warm night has thrown 118 pitches.
It's been a long night for him. Although he's been pretty much in command, he's thrown a lot of pitches, fallen behind counts, had to battle back to keep the Marlins from really coming back, but that's a key walk, and that's going to be a hole for Estacio as Todd Worrell comes on out of the bullpen to try to shut down this Marlin attack here in the 9th inning.
I want to correct something I said. Dave Magin is due 3rd this inning. The pitcher is due up 5th in this 9th inning. Strong performance by Estacio. He goes 8 innings plus, having allowed just the 2 runs. He can be the winning pitcher. He cannot lose it.
Well, Estacio, a little bit disappointed he couldn't finish off the ball game, but that leadoff walk was a sign for Tommy Lasorda that his right-hander was near the end of the road. So he had to turn it over to the big right-hander, Todd Worrell, who we mentioned earlier has been on the disabled list with a full side muscle. Had nothing to do with his arm. Came off the DL on the 23rd of May. Pitched in 7 games. This will be his 8th game. He's picked up a win. They still say, well, he hasn't really cut it loose. Memories of that side injury still lingering a bit. But he has come back a long way from a couple of previous surgeries, elbow problems. Last year was a disappointment for him. His arm just wasn't as sound as they had hoped. Morrell working just in 35 ball games, had 5 saves for the Dodgers.
And this season he has blown his last 3 save opportunities. 136 career save for Worrell. Most of those with St. Louis. They'll try to save this one for Estacio. Second half of our doubleheader tonight, Cleveland and Seattle. They're just about ready to go at the Kingdome. First pitch in about 11 minutes. Cleveland and Seattle on deck here on ESPN. Here in Miami, 4-2 Los Angeles. Leadoff man onto the 9th for Florida. And the number 8 hitter, Brett Barbary, at the plate. Barbary's 0 for 2 with a walk in the 4th inning. He drove in a run with a ground out in the 7th. That brought Abbott in from 3rd. Worrell's first pitch. A ball low and away. In the air, not deep. Butler comes in and makes the catch. 1 out.
Third baseman,
Still a familiar pose, hasn't it?
Still looking at that lineup guard on the wall. Trying to figure out what he's going to do if he gets to the 2 spot in the lineup. So the pitcher is batting right now.
Darren Dreifert is again throwing in the Los Angeles bullpen as Magadan steps in. Magadan came up as a pinch hitter in the 7th and singled to center. Stayed in the game as the 3rd baseman. He's the tying run at the plate. Not noted for his power. The thing about a game-tying home run, Magadan has only 1 home run this year and 135 at bats. The 1-0 pitch slashed out of play to the left. Top of the order, and Chuck Carr waiting on deck to follow Magadan. There's Carr. The ball low, 2-1.
Well, now Magadan is able to zero in and sit on a Worrell fastball here. Sean mentioned that Magadan not blessed with an awful lot of power. He's a line drive, left center, right center type hitter. And his job right here is to just try to get on base. Tommy Lasorda has seen this scene all too often this year.
Dodgers have blown 14 save opportunities coming into tonight and only 23 chances. They have 9 saves as a bullpen. They've blown 14. But still they're in first place. Imagine how much more comfortable their lead would be beyond the 2 games that it is if the bullpen had just been so-so. They've been bad. Fred Clare says there aren't any major moves upcoming to make the bullpen better. They're going to count on some of these pitchers who have done it in the past, straightening themselves out. Check swing, ball 4, no swing, said Joe West on the appeal. And at the very least, if you're Tommy Lasorda, you're thinking at least make them hit their way back into the ball game. But that's 2 walks to put the tying run at first base and bring the winning run to the plate for Rene Latchman.
Remember, the Marlins came back to win the opening game in this series in the 9th inning on Monday. That's Darren Dreifert. Al Osuna standing ready in the bullpen.
Chuck Carr is the batter. He's a switch hitter. Much better left-handed hitter. Where Lasorda inclined to make a move, it would be to the lefty. And here comes Peronoski to the mound. Jesus Tavares, who had the game-winning hit Monday night, has moved into the on-deck circle to bat for the pitcher Frazier. Like Magadan ahead of him, Carr is not a home run threat, hasn't hit one this year. Chuck Carr hit 4 home runs last year for Florida in 142 games. Dodgers lead by 2. First half of our ESPN Wednesday night baseball doubleheader. We'll be going to Cleveland at Seattle as soon as this one is over. Rubber game of a 3-game series. Dodgers trying to hold on. Carr slashing, swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. He's 1 for 4, singled and scored in the first.
That wasn't a bad swing there, and a good fastball for Morel, but You might have questioned whether or not Carr would force him to throw a strike before you turned it loose.
Shot to short slowly. With Carr running, they get just the out at second. Maggott in a race. Abbott to third. Carr with excellent speed at first, representing the tying run, but now there are 2 outs in the Florida ninth.
Well, they got a ground ball, but it's not a double play ground ball. Carr beats it into the ground, and you can see the acceleration down the first baseline. Not even a play.
Well, we talked earlier about Rene Lashman trying to harness some of his aggressiveness, Carr's aggressiveness, and they've been successful in accomplishing that this season. But the point you made is a good one. 1-0, pitcher really struggling. It's not as if Carr's going to get a cookie down the middle and jack one out of the park to win the game. He's not a power hitter. You think he might have waited to take a strike.
Yeah, it's not like he's Mike Piazza with a 1-0 count, freewheeling and hoping to catch up to one.
So now Tavares, who had the game-winning hit here on Monday night in the 11-10 Florida win. Jesus has been up 23 times with 4 hits, all of them singles. He's driven in 2 runs. He's 1 for 2 as a pinch hitter this season. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, first and third for Florida. Los Angeles with a 4-2 lead. Carr takes second. They pay no attention to him. So now a base hit. It goes to the outfield. In all likelihood ties the game with Carr's speed. Interesting that they paid so little attention to him. Conceded the tying run in the scoring position with great speed. Ball low and in, evening the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Tavares started the year Double-A. Portland, the Sea Dogs up in Maine, called up on May 23rd. Rick Renteria went on the disabled list. Down the left field line, slicing into the stands. And the Marlins are down to their final strike.
Todd Worrell looking for his 3rd save of the season. As Sean mentioned, he's blown 4. The Dodgers have just 9 saves as a team.
Well, 1-2 pitch. Fastball outside from the 34-year-old Worrell. Dodgers rolled the dice and signed him despite his history of injuries. Paid him a lot of money, $9.5 million. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jesus Tavares. Mateus Carrillo is on deck hoping for a chance to bat. Well, if he's hoping he doesn't have to bat, he'd like to see Tavares jack one out of here and win the game for Florida himself. Popped out of play. Worrell got that one up. And the 23-year-old from the Dominican Republic, Tavares, fouled it straight back.
Well, it'd be a little different story maybe in 3 or 4 days for this ball club if they had Gary Sheffield in the heart of the lineup. He's a legitimate threat in situations like this, of course. He's going out on rehab tomorrow.
They hope he'll join them in Pittsburgh on Sunday. Another 2-2. Line to left. And Snyder can't get it. Here comes Carr with the tying run. It's 4-4. And Tavares is safe at second, representing the winning run.
Alexis Taveras. A two-strike base hit to left field. Corey Snyder takes the gamble and tries to come up with a shoestring catch and can't do it. 2 runs come in. Take a look at Carr. No chance at all with his speed. He scores the tying run. And when the ball got by Corey Snyder, the winning run moved in to second base.
So another blown save for Worrell, his 4th in as many appearances. And Taveras, the hero here in Florida again. He had the game-winning hit Monday night, the game-tying hit tonight. He'll have a chance to score the winning run. And going back to letting Chuck Carr walk into scoring position with a tying run, he's a likely candidate to steal the base, 17 out of 19 this year, but he's surprised they just gave him that base and paid no attention to him.
Yeah, I was surprised. Maybe they were just feeling like they didn't want to open up a hole on the infield, but he represents a tying run. He would still be on the base had they not allowed him to steal second base uncontested. You got to admire this Marlins team for the heart they've shown recently. They came back from 6 runs down in Monday, opener of this 3-game series, and it's not been an easy first couple of months of the season here in '94 for Todd Worrell.
They scored the hit for Taveras, a single. Credit him with 2 RBI. And charge an error on Corey Snyder as the ball got by him, allowing Taveras to reach second. We said earlier we wouldn't question Harvey Green to score because he is one of the all-time good guys. Kind of a tough error when a guy's coming in trying to make the catch on a game-saving play.
Well, I guess you've got to justify the race runner getting to second base, and the way to do that is to give him an air in left field. So they'll look to Al Osuna to give them an opportunity to bat in the 10th inning. There are 2 outs, the winning run at second base. The scheduled batter, Mateus Carrillo, is being pinch hit for. Looks like with the right-handed batting, Mario Diaz making his way toward the plate.
Winning run at second, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. Mario Diaz batting for Carrillo, went 0 for 4 tonight. There's Taveras. Cleveland and Seattle just getting underway. For those of you tuning in to see the Indians and the Mariners, we'll be going to that ball game as soon as this one is over. That was the first hit of the inning for Florida, and they've scored 2 runs. 1 charge to Astacio and 1 to Worrell. Diaz was playing in the Boston organization at Pawtucket, their AAA club. His agreement with the Red Sox, and if he was not called up by the end of May, they had to let him go free agency. He did. He was signed by the Marlins. He drives it foul into the stands and right.
Maya had 3 hits in Monday's ball game. He started that game at shortstop. 3 for 4, drove in a pair. That reflects those 3 hits. 2 at-bats in last night's game.
With the Marlins in spring training and was released. Then was signed by the Red Sox and sent to AAA. Now he's back with Florida, trying to win the game. Takes the ball outside from Osuna. Chucky Carr scored the tying run. Driven in by Taveras, who wants to score the winning run. 4-4 in the 9th. 2 outs. 4-10-1 for Los Angeles. 4-8-1 for Florida. Osuna's 1-2. Up and away. Mario Diaz.
the hero of this ball game against Al Osuna. It's a breaking ball away from him, hits it into center field. Jesus Taveras at second base gets the go-ahead from third to head first slide across home plate with the winning run. What a comeback for the Florida Marlins. There's another look. Nowhere to go but home on this play with 2 outs. The go-ahead from Cookie Rojas. 1 look and the slide with the winning run. 2 out of 3 for the Marlins against the Dodgers here in this 3-game set.
And the Marlins, a team beset by injuries to key players, have won 6 out of 7, winning with key plays from guys named Diaz and Tavares. And tonight, the winning pitcher, Willie Frazier, the loser. Todd Worrell for Buck Martinez, Sean McDonough saying so long from Miami. Let's join Joel Myers and Jim Todd in Seattle.